Hi guys, welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy. Tonight or today, this afternoon, this morning, it's morning still. We're going to be doing some Power Live court coverage of the 14-year-old Gregg case, who has been accused of committing matricide. In an effort to shut down Gypsy Rose Blanchard as a media influencer, the queen of matricide, we will be covering more and more cases like this. And this will be day 2 of the trial. I'm going to roll some credits while we wait for the others to roll in. So lock your doors, grab yourself a drink and some snackies, and get ready because we're about to delve back into this shocking case of matricide, the act of taking the life of one's own mother. Shout out to my Power Replay crew and my dragonflies. We don't usually do this on Tuesdays, do we? And you can tell Junie, my little green cheek conure, he's super excited too. Welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy.
Cavalier's strumming this old guitar, words rolling out into the fire. Never ask why my heart burned blue. Here in the haze where you inspire me. Here in the darkness I hear my cue. Time to find some solitude. Here where my soul bleeds openly, deep in the heart of sin and you. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you. Here in the blue, I'm dancing with you tonight, and it feels fine. Cavalier strumming this old guitar again, words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings, I would steal them and fly away with you for a while. Here in the essence of gratitude, your dreamy little smile on my lips. I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day.
I never have to worry about missing my cue, but sometimes I have to worry about plugging in my microphone. I didn't plug it in for my intro, so sorry about that. Okay, so I have the Gregg case up. It has not started yet. I thought that we would go over some of what happened last night or yesterday. I keep saying night because I normally do night lives, so please forgive me. I know it's daytime. I know it's morning time. In the United States, that's where I am. Okay, so let me get my screen together. Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. I don't typically do daytime lives because of what's happening in the background, but if I'm going to do daytime lives, it's just going to be Bird. My nighttime lives that I do on Sunday, Wednesday, and Fridays are Bird free. So he goes to bed at 7. We go live at 8. So it's perfect. Okay, so let's look at what happened a little bit
yesterday in this case. Just so you know, I want you to see that I do have it up, Law and Crime, waiting for them to go live, because I think it was Law and Crime and Court TV that the two cameras were in the courtroom. Good morning, Melly. How are you? Are you ready for day 2 of this twisted case? Deadly daughter case. I guess Law and Crime is calling it the Twisted Teen Murder Trial. We're calling it the Deadly Daughter, but we should do something like the Gypsy Rose influencer trial. This is the result of when we raise Gypsy Rose up in ranks as a media influencer. All right, so let's go into what happened yesterday. They did play the some body cam footage, but so let's go in and look at the body cam footage that they showed yesterday during court. So this was when she had already unalived her mother and attempted to do it to her stepfather, and she ran. And they, the police, the stepfather called the police. Oh, Junie, you're going to go in the other room. Seriously. I know you like to talk and join in, but just let me get through the intro. Can we just do the intro? Okay, thank you. He'll start talking again. So, see, they're flat talkers. Whenever you talk, they talk. It's a lot of fun. And again, my little Chihuahua Maybelline's not doing so well, so you could send her some love and healing. She's an older girl, just going through end stages type of And if you could send me some love too, because it's kind of taking a toll on me. Here we go. Let me make sure that I have this up. I don't. So let me get it up for you.
Right now, though, we want to get you back to testimony. The jury is watching a police body cam video of when the first officer arrived at the crime scene. Let's go in to watch.
Good morning, Main Chick Carrie. So we're waiting for them to go live in court. I believe the judge said 9:45 was when they were going to go live. I do have the court TV. Well, I don't have court TV up, but I have Law and Crime up, and I have a few other. I noticed there's more people covering it today. Like I see WLBT3 is covering it, and I see some other YouTube channels covering it. Like I see Broken Barker. It looks like Recovery Addict has it up. Squid Pro Quo, and what else? Trial TV Live has it. Oh, I asked a question in Trial TV Live. I wonder if anyone answered it. No, they didn't. Okay, so let's, but while we're waiting, we're going to watch the body cam of the emergency response to Carly Craig and her double pew-pewing.
As well.
Thank you.
Sheriff's office!
Gypsy 2.0.
Sheriff's office! Hey, come on, stop. Hey, come on. Hey, what's your wife at, bud? What's your wife at? She's dead on the floor in that room. She where? Sheriff's office!
What do you think about all these big emotions that Carly is showing in court, because she's showing big emotions. Do you think they're real? I think they're real. I think I do think she was out of her mind, because what had happened is that apparently she was using, I'm only going to say the word once, and then I'm going to call it fruits and vegetables, because if I say it over and over again, my channel will get tagged. But she was using drugs, and her friend was very worried, two friends actually. And so one friend, went and kept Carly busy, and the other approached her mother, who was a teacher at the same school, and he talked to her about it, apparently. Well, then the mother, that day had to drive home with Carly, and then when they got home, this is when this happened. So, and the only other time that Carly had gotten in trouble was when she cheated on a math test. But her friends were worried about her self-harming, not harming her family.
Hello? That's I need medical here. I need you to go. Hey, where's your son wearing? Hey, can you tell me what your son's wearing? Hey, I need you to talk to me. What is your son wearing?
He was in jeans and a grayish t-shirt. He's got short brownish hair.
So, jeans, a gray t-shirt, short brown hair.
She ran into the backyard and I tried to follow her. She jumped the fence and ran. She shot me in the neck.
But
It's okay.
does she still have the gun?
It's on the kitchen counter. I think there's one live round left in it. I opened the cylinder. I went in the back door. She tried to shoot me.
Hey, I need some gloves. Hey, he's saying that she ran towards Magnolia Place. Are you sure? He's grazed, but he's good too. It went through his shirt.
You got me right there.
Magnolia Place, they gave us service.
She went over the side back towards my vehicle. She might have looked around this way.
Might look back going back towards the pond up there. Oh, this Hey, she does not have the phone, but the arm is here at the house. Hey, he's been grazed, but he's really not got She's laying in the floor with the towel. She's That's all that's his son. We're gonna close. you do me a favor? Will you take that tape right there and just go to those trees? From my car to those trees? Actually, go for the mailbox. It's a 357. She's 7. Does she have any kind of, what's her name? What? Carly Gregg. Carly Gregg? How old is she? 14. She'll be 15 next month. Okay. She jumped the fence, he said. She didn't go out the back door. Is he the only one? No, we got one. She's the back door is locked. She did not go out the back door. Careful, that's what he's claiming. Gray shirt, blue jeans, short brown hair. Hey, y'all do be advised, there's several firearms in the house. But the one that he's saying was used is laying on the table, but that doesn't mean she's not on it. We don't know that she's gone. All right, look to me. You going? Yeah, I got it. 96 headed to you. There was a white male walking in whenever I was coming in. She's 14.
Okay, I do see movement in the courtroom. Right now, we're watching yesterday's body cam footage of the first responders. Just want to show you, I do see movement in the courtroom, but this is all that we got going on. So, let's go back and I'll continue to play what we were watching. And yeah, as soon as they go live, we will be going live.
Body cam video sure does give you a perspective on what happened. You just heard in that video the law enforcement officer saying almost in disbelief, she's 14. Let's squeeze in another break. We're going to see more of that dramatic police body cam video when Court TV Live returns.
Join 3 years and outside of the courtroom.
For more of that police body cam video.
Hey, buddy, listen to me, okay? I need to get some information from you. What is her name again? Carly, C-A-R-L-Y. C-A-R-L-Y? Carly Madison Gregg,
G-R-E-G-G.
G-R-E-G-G?
She's my stepdaughter.
Alright.
Her dad lives in Starkville, and we're having all kinds of problems with him. He's
Okay.
drugs.
Alright. What is your name, sir?
Smiley.
He's Smiley?
Dave.
Okay.
He's getting back to that.
Alright. Hey. What's your wife's number? Name?
Ashley Smiley.
Alright.
Have you called her? Have you called her? Your wife. I just called her number twice, and I ran in there looking for her.
Hey, how old is Ashley? How's your wife? 40. 40? I need you to find an Ashley Smiley. Ashley Smiley, 40 years of age, white female. Also, I got 27 for the other victims. 801-151-492. 801-492. Suspect is going to be Carly, C-A-R-L-Y, Madison Gregg. Carly Madison Gregg. G-R-E-G-G.
Just grab the top degree. The top is right.
Hey, let me, y'all just roll with him right now. I need to get a picture.
What I was going to say is if you need to get anything with him, you do it.
Okay, I see. Sure. I see that there is a juvenile witness. It says there's a juvenile witness up on the stand. There's no audio. But yesterday, Court TV was feeding us the questions. So I will see if they're going to do that today. Man, that sucks. This is a hard case because the judge won't let the cameraman, nothing. You can't do anything. You can't, I guess, you can't audio or video them. I do have, let's go over to WLBT3 on your side and we'll watch them. They're getting the report of what's happening.
To play you a recap, basically, of what happened yesterday. Morgan Harris, our reporter, was there, like I said earlier, in the courtroom all day. And so we're going to play for you the recap that she did of what happened yesterday in the courtroom.
I will keep Court TV up and watch to see if they are going to feed us the questions today, because that was really helpful yesterday. I hope they do it again today.
You'll hear about some secret life that Carly lived.
The prosecution beginning opening statements by letting the jury know that they aren't here to judge that secret life, but for Gregg's actions on March 19th. That is when the teenager is accused of killing her mother and shooting her stepfather.
So now I want to take you to the real reason we're here. From the testimony of this friend is that he was so worried about Carly's use of smoking marijuana, and so worried about her being high, and so worried about her having these burner phones that her mom didn't know about, that he felt compelled to tell Miss Ashley Smiley that day.
The state says that when Ashley Smiley got home, she searched her daughter's room and found vape pens. They claim this is when Carly Gregg did the unthinkable.
We believe the testimony will show that she peeks her head around the kitchen to make sure that her mom hasn't come out of her bedroom. We believe the evidence will then show that she walked with that .357 Magnum behind her back, walked in to her own bedroom, and then fired 3 shots into her mother, killing her.
The defense laying out their case after.
This is not a whodunit case. We know who took action on March 19th to bring about the death of Ashley Smiley and the injuries to Heath Smiley. However, this is a why case.
Attorney Bridget Todd claims that Gregg was suffering from mental illness like others in her family.
Doesn't matter how many witnesses the state puts on, their story is filled with inconsistencies.
The state's first witness was the dispatcher who answered Carly Gregg's stepfather, Heath Smiley's 911 call.
Okay, sir. Where's your wife? She's dead on the floor of my stepdaughter's room. What's your wife's name? Ashley Smiley. Ashley Smiley.
Next to the stand was Rankin County Deputy Hunter Lewis. His body cam footage was shown in court as he was the first person to arrive at the Smiley's home that day. Smiley could be heard describing Gregg, who had run away from the scene.
It's a grayish t-shirt. She's got short brownish hair.
So jeans, a gray t-shirt, short brown hair.
Actually, I see that Court TV is feeding the questions inside of their chat. So currently the cross is on, and the cross says, did you personally observe changes in Carly's behavior leading up to 3/19? And the minor says, yes, she wasn't necessarily different, but definitely being more risky with life. Cross says, did you ever know Carly to smoke vapes? And they said, yes. I'm getting these questions over on Court TV. This is what's being asked. There's a minor on the stand, so the judge isn't allowing any audio, it being recorded. So but there is somebody in Court TV that is feeding the questions, but it's over in their chat. It was up on their screen and it's not today. So I will let's see. Why did I choose to do this case, you guys? I thought this will be fun. Let me see if there's anyone saying anything. Nothing. Okay, let's go back to this.
The last witness was a juvenile who says that he and Gregg were best friends. He testified that he told the teen's mom about her drug use and her having a burner phone because he was concerned. Later that day, Gregg FaceTimed him and seemed upset. The friend told her not to harm herself or anyone else. The teen says that's when Gregg told him, too late.
And so that is.
Okay, so here's another question that was asked. Cross says, did you hear from Carly after school on 3/19? The juvenile says, yes, she called me. What was her demeanor? Jittery, scared, secretive, maybe. Cross says, did she tell you why she was calling? And the juvenile says, just that she needed me to come over. Did she tell you anything was wrong? Cross asked. And we don't know the answer yet because the juvenile says, no, just that I should come over. Was that call after you came home from school? And the juvenile says, yes. Cameras are turned off. Court TV is in the courtroom. They are feeding us the questions and the answers that are being asked of the witness because the judge won't let it be recorded. So I am feeding you the questions and answers as I see them But they're coming through like slowly. Slowly. No, I don't want to do that. This. Yeah. People are telling Court TV that they're doing good work during this audio catastrophe. I wondered, because in the beginning I thought they weren't showing it because they said, they couldn't film it because a minor. And I was like, wait, we can't film Carly Craig? I mean, she did the deed. So I was really outraged, but that wasn't the case. Okay, Court TV says, Cross asked, you mentioned you went over to Carly's house. Did Carly tell you why she was asking you to come over? And the juvenile says, no, she said she couldn't over the phone. And then Cross says, how'd you get there? And the juvenile says, my dad dropped me off. Cross says, what's the first message on page 1? So he must be showing the juvenile some text. And the juvenile reads out loud, dude, are you good? That's me. What's that say? That's me. Then on my way. Carly replied, thank you. And then the next message, I'm here at 4:58 p.m. Message was sent when I was in the car about to get out, the juvenile says. We're currently reading the questions over on Court TV. The cameras are turned off, so it's not letting us, the judge is not letting us know what's going on. Court TV says, what's the, no, there's nothing yet. Court TV says, oh, sorry, Court TV was talking to the chat. Court TV is talking to the chat. Did Taylor Swift get married? I thought she just got engaged. She actually got married. Wow. Good for her. I am not into marriage. Once was enough. I never want to do it again. Did it. Done. In the bag. Didn't work. Okay, Court TV says, Cross asks, what happened after you got out of your dad's truck? And the juvenile says, I got out. She let me in. Cross says, did she recognize you when you got there? And the juvenile says, yes, I got in there. She said, don't freak out, trying to reassure me that it was fine. At that time, did you know what had happened? And the juvenile says, no. I was very curious about that because I'm like, why are these kids coming over? to see an unalived body, but they weren't. They didn't know what they were coming over for. Then Cross said, she said, have you ever, the juvenile said, or I don't know, I think this is Cross. No, the juvenile says, she said, have you ever seen an unalived body? Does it make you squeamish? And then she was like, my mom's in there, and I peeked my head in the door. Cross said, did you see Miss Smiley? And the juvenile said, yes, she had her arms crossed and a towel over her head. Oh, so she crossed her arms and put a towel over her head. That shows remorse right there. And holy cow. Good Googa Moonga. What in the world? Waiting for Court TV to feed us more of the questions. So there's a juvenile on the stand and we can't record it, but Court TV is giving us some of the questions that are being asked. And apparently the juvenile didn't know why they were coming over. I always wondered, like, why are they coming over to see an unalived body, but they didn't know. Cross says, did she have that pew pew at the house? And which is a GUN. The minor says, yeah, she was carrying it around. Oh gosh, how scary is that? I mean, how scary is that? Cross says, did she tell you what happened to her mom? And the juvenile says, she said she SHOT her. And did she say how many times? And the juvenile says 3 times. And did she say where? And the juvenile said just in the head. Yes, Stacia, she didn't. That shows exactly her state of mind. And I'm terrified that this juvenile is in the house with her and she's walking around with a loaded weapon that she just used and tried and was planning on doing it. She hadn't done it yet to the stepdad. So she did it again. She could have very easily done it to the kids that stopped by, which, oh my gosh. The juvenile says, she said basically she had 3 more shots waiting for him whenever he got home. And then the Cross said, what happened then? And the Court TV is also types, wow, this testimony. That's exactly what's going on in my head. Wow, this testimony. Can you imagine if we could see it in person? Oh, the juvenile says, I went to backyard and heard 3 shots inside of the house. Man, this makes me nervous for the juvenile. Somebody in the chat said, I read that the juvenile, I read that the daughter in foster care still, her mom and sister believe have arrived. I don't know how all that works. She said basically she had 3 more shots waiting for him. They must be talking because she has a sister or a brother, one of the two. Okay, so Court TV says, Cross says, when did you give Carly the vapes you purchased? And the juvenile says, I'm not sure. Court TV is asking their chat, what do you think of the DRUG, fruits and vegetables element to the defense. Okay. What do you guys think about I call the DRUG as fruits and vegetables over here. What do you think about the fruits and vegetables in this defense? Like, it seems to be the crux of what's happening, because it all started with Carly's friends reporting to her mother that she was using these fruits and vegetables, and then we know what happened. But I mean, are they going to use it that she was like intoxicated? There's a chatter in court TV. They said, I didn't think intoxication was a defense at all. It's, they're in, somebody else says it's illegal in the UK for people under 18. Well, it's illegal in the US for people under 18 to vape here as well. So, I mean, the vapes were illegally gotten. It's amazing to me that I know it. I mean, when I was 13 and 14, my older sister gave me my first cigarettes. And I had a whole pack in my bedroom. My mom loved to do these things where she would like clean our bedroom for our birthday or something, you know, and she would deep clean, and you just knew what she was doing. But I had my pack of cigarettes hiding. I collected China dolls, and I had it stuffed up in one of my China dolls dresses, and she didn't go and dust the China doll shelf, so I didn't get in trouble that time. And I had just removed my package of Boone's Farm or whatever, coolers or something from my bedroom, because I think we had used it that day. This was my 14th or 15th birthday. We were doing stuff. And like I said, we had guns in our house that weren't locked up. So Court TV says, Cross says, did you hear Keith Smiley pulling up? And the juvenile says, yes. Did you call out to warn him in any way? And the juvenile says, no, which is scary. The juvenile has just seen Carly's unalived mother with a towel over her head and her arms crossed. She tells him, I have 3 more, and they're for my stepdad. Get out of the house. And the kid gets out of the house, sees the car pull up, but doesn't call out. It's proof that kids don't think their minds aren't developed. Oh. Let's see what you guys are saying. She didn't want her victim looking at her. Yeah, we already. I'm totally new to this. Thank you. You're welcome, honey. Good morning, Paula. From Pensacola. Oh, a fellow Floridian. I think it's 21 to purchase vapes. Oh, it's 21 now. I got busted stashing the devil's lettuce in my porcelain bloomers. Guess it was a good spot for me and not for you, Tara. I got lucky. She just didn't dust that day there. And mothers, if you think you're fooling us, you're not. But, you know, in kids, we're so like leaving it up to the face. Oh, boy. I'm a Gen Xer, though, so I grew up in that era. I don't think there's any excuse for it now in this era. I will give the boomers some leeway because they grew up with the Depression era parents, which that sounds horrible in itself. But okay, let's get back. Sorry, I'm getting off track. So Cross says, what did you mean by being more risky? And the juvenile says, doing fruits and vegetables, drinking hand sanitizer at one point. Didn't you dare Carly to pump hand sanitizer into her mouth? And the juvenile says, I don't think so, but she was drinking it. They call it something. I didn't know what the name of it was. They were talking about it yesterday, and someone told me that it's hand sanitizer. It's terrifying. Okay, and then Cross says, you don't think so, or you didn't. And the juvenile says, I don't recall one way or another. That means I'm not going to answer that because it's yes. The juvenile witness is a 17-year-old boy currently in the 12th grade on the stand. It's called Germax. Sorry, I see that in the chat now. It's called Germax, the hand sanitizer thing. I didn't know that was a thing. Although I think I did see it as a thing because it was on Intervention. There was a guy drinking hand sanitizer. My favorite Intervention was the girl that sniffed the laptop cleaner, the spray thing. Only because not only because, but in addition to, she made it out of that how she had created for herself. But boy, that was an interesting one. She was in a graveyard huffing it. Very interesting. Okay, let's see if anything else. Direct says that he met her at a summer camp in 2022. So the witness on the stand met Carly at a summer camp in 2022. I wondered how she knew, like, because she's 14, and how does she know, 17-year-olds? I guess from school too. Not sure if we should put 13 and 14-year-olds with 15 to 18 to 19-year-olds. I think maybe that should change a little bit. Like put the 6th graders to the 9th graders together, and then unless that's what's being done, and then put the 10th graders and the seniors together. It's insane. So there's a juvenile on the stand, and they are not allowing any camera, but Court TV is feeding us the questions, and I'm giving you the questions and the answers. So Cross says, did Carly talk about doing, oh wait, I think we might be on direct now. So the state says, did Carly talk about doing fruits and vegetables, which is DRUGS? And the juvenile says, yes, she mentioned before the devil's lettuce. She was not done vaping. I don't know for sure the other fruits and vegetables she's done. I believe she's done snow once and shrooms before. Other than that, I'm not sure. Oh, so she was starting to do more. I mean, I give her friends, her friend must feel horrible about this, but I give her friend huge props for caring enough about her to go to her family and try to help her. The friend on the stand that did all of this says he's still friends with her. So, but is he still friends with her out of like a sense of duty of what happened? Yes, a strange addiction. My Strange Addiction. Oh, was it on My Strange Addiction too? I don't really watch My Strange Addiction, and I don't watch Hoarders either because that's just too much for me. Hoarders is too much for me. I'm an ex-social worker, and I used to have to go into home situations, and yeah, I don't want to look at it. I've seen it. Don't need to bring it into my house. we're waiting on more questions to come through. Court TV is feeding us the questions, and sometimes there's a lag between. Be sure to give my live a thumbs up and share it. Let people know that Parawomenradio is covering this live jury or live trial it's in Mississippi. It's Mississippi versus Carly Gregg. In my opinion, this is, she's a matricide. And who's our queen of matricide? Gypsy Rose Blanchard. So I will be covering more cases of children harming their parents because I think this is a deadly thing to unleash on the world. I'm told Gypsy Rose has 10 million TikTok subscribers, and we know TikTok has a lot of young kids. And so here we are. Mally says, I agree. I think a freshman is way too young to be with juniors and seniors. Yeah, especially since when I started school, I was 4 years old. So I was even younger being thrown with 18, 19-year-olds. It's just too much, in my opinion. It's too much, but because I think I was 13 with 18, 19-year-olds. That's crazy. Might have been even 12 because, no, I was 13. This is more work than I thought it would be. I'm going to lie. I'm going to moan and bitch about it that they're not letting the juvenile be recorded. That's just selfish of me. I'm being selfish. Okay. State says, I just showed up. The juvenile says, I just showed up one day trying to introduce myself to her parents. What happened? And he says, I knocked on the door and met her stepdad. I was not sure what to say, but he told me Carly did not live at the residence or he had never heard of Carly. So I just left. That's weird. Did you and Carly ever discuss what happened? He says, yes, sir. She messaged me on a phone burner. She told me she was in a room away from the front door and that her mom was holding her down in a room while her dad was talking to me at the front door. So how was she messaging him if her mom was holding her down and she was in a burner phone? Was she upset about her dad not letting y'all meet? And the witness says she did. I believe she was exaggerating. But did she say she almost unalived her parents that day? Waiting for the response. Oh my gosh, they're leaving us hanging. They just asked, there was another incident where this was when Carly got her phone taken away. She had a burner phone. Carly was saying that her mom was holding her down in a bedroom. The stepdad's at the door, though, saying that Carly doesn't live there. They're probably thinking that, this guy's giving her the fruits and vegetables. Maybe they had already found out about all that. The court TV people are asking, why isn't Carly's case team objecting about all of this? And they're saying, well, she's using an insanity and drug defense. So that's why they want this to come through. Well, they're not saying what they answer. Maybe that was court TV saying, but did she say she almost unalived her parents that day? Anyway, so the state says, let's go to March 19th. Did you talk to Carly on that date? And he says, yes, sir. She called my cell phone and I answered it. She opened the call with her on the verge of tears by saying she, excuse my language, fucked up. Mally says, when my daughter was a freshman, she was asked by a junior boy to go. Oh, gosh. I did not let my daughter go. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it's great. You're like putting your kid, your 13, 14-year-old with 19, 18, 19, because I know kids. There was a 19-year-old in one of my classes. So I know there's 19-year-olds in high schools. And a 19-year-old is a grown up. It's an adult. A 19, 18, 19, you can vote. You can buy, well, I don't know. You can buy, I guess you can't buy vapes now, but you can buy cigarettes, right, at 18? The person says, he says, she said she couldn't tell me what happened, then hung up. I messaged her asking if I could do anything to help, and she said no, that I was good. She and the juror said, or the junior says, she was on the verge of tears, looking scared, frightened, afraid of what she had done. They must have asked, like, how was she acting when they were running? I don't know. This is a lot for her friends to deal with. You know what I mean? Like, she brought all these poor kids into this. Amazing. So there is a junior minor on the stand, and they're not allowing it to be filmed, but Court TV is feeding us some of the questions that are being asked, and I'm reading them for you, but they're coming through slowly, so there's delays. I don't talk over here. I don't know how, like, over on YouTube, you cannot say certain words, and so there's a lot of talk about illegal substances, and I'm calling them fruits and vegetables. I need to put like a little glossary up so you guys know my words. Something to do if I'm going to continue doing live trial coverage. Have a glossary of words. Yeah, they're having pork chops. Oh, that's another thing. Before they left yesterday, the judge is like, we're going to feed you. But they're feeding them jail food. And he's like, tomorrow's pork chops. If you are vegetarian or vegan, you can bring your own. We'll provide you. Sorry. We'll provide you a refrigerator. So they're having pork chops from jail today. It just sounds like the most disgusting. That makes my stomach turn. Only because, like, when I would go into the jails, the smells and the food that was being cooked in it made it worse. So, ugh. Thank you, but no. Plus, I'm doing the vegetarian route these days. Although we got a meat sponsorship, I feel like maybe I need to, like, well, I do need to include more protein into my life. And I was like thinking, like, I want to add more protein, but I want to do it from animals that are kept in a, humane setting. And I can't afford that. And then this meat company reaches out to me and is like, do you want to, team up? And I'm like, yeah, I do. So they're sending me a free box, and we're going to do a true crime cooking show. So that's what's on the menu here over on Parawomenradio, but I'm pretty excited about it. Okay, let's get back. So State says, when Carly messaged you, did I already say this? I already did. Court or State says, you said you felt like she was exaggerating about nearly unaliving her parents. Sometimes people say as a turn of phrase, oh, I could just kill them. Is that how you took it? And the minor says, yes, ma'am. I think anybody would take it like that. Unless, it was Chris Watts you're talking to, or Gypsy Rose. Apparently, I think people would still take it as her joking too. This is annoying. Although we're seeing something in the court now, so maybe that means we're gonna go back. Oh, it's 21 now. Okay. Interesting. Wasn't it 18 for us growing up? Okay, they're going into court. I'm going to come down and stop talking.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God?
I do. Have a seat. Adjust yourself up to the mic. You understand that you're now under oath and your answers will be sworn answers under penalty of perjury. Yes, sir. All right. You may proceed.
If you would introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen.
My name's Heath Smiley.
And Heath, we've met before today, that's right?
Yes, ma'am.
If you would, though, these ladies and gentlemen don't know you. So if you would just kind of tell them a little bit about how old you are.
39 years old. I'm a physical therapy assistant, and I've been Carly's stepdad for, it was almost, I guess, 3.5 years.
Tell me, excuse me, Heath, prior to March 19, 2024, who were you married to?
Ashley Smiley.
And when did you and Ashley Smiley meet?
It was the spring of 2019.
And at some point, did you and Ashley Smiley end up marrying each other?
We did in June of 2020.
Where'd y'all get married?
We actually went up to Gatlinburg when things opened back up after COVID.
Y'all like to take trips, be outside?
We did.
How old was Ashley Smiley when she passed?
She was 40.
And where did Ashley work?
She was at Northwest Rankin High School.
Can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen kind of what Ashley looked like?
She was very small, about 5'1", 5'2", blonde hair, blue eyes, super nice, real smart.
May I approach the witness room? I'd ask you to look at that. Can you tell me what that is?
It's a picture that we took. Guess we were up in the Smokies somewhere.
Did Ashley love Carly?
They loved each other so much. She just, everything she did, she planned out for Carly and around Carly.
Before you and Ashley met, was she previously married?
She had been, yes, ma'am.
Who was she married to?
Kevin Gregg.
And did Kevin and Ashley have any other children besides Carly?
She had a second child that passed several months or a year or so later from a genetic abnormality.
And her name was Natalie Gregg?
Yes.
And she had passed before you met Ashley, is that right?
Yes, years before.
What did you know about the relationship between Ashley and her ex-husband, Kevin Gregg?
Only some things that Ashley had told me here and there. Things didn't go well, and they ended up getting divorced.
And he, the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have seen some body cam footage of the day that your wife was murdered and you were shot. And on that, you mentioned that y'all were having some trouble with Kevin Gregg. Can you explain to us what was going on around that time?
I think he just liked trying to give Ashley trouble as much as he could through the legal system, any chance he could. I don't know exactly what all was going on, but she had acquired someone to try to get him back into court about possibly changing up visitation stuff again.
Had Carly ever told you anything about Kevin Gregg using drugs?
Yes.
So he was a known drug user?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to talk to you, Heath, about you told us about how much Ashley loved Carly and that Carly was basically her life. Tell us about yours and Carly's relationship before March 19th, 2024.
We were always good. We laughed and played and messed around, loved video games, and took her to karate stuff until she kind of got tired of that and she started going to guitar practice weekly. So I was taking her to that every week. We got along great.
You liked being a stepdad?
Yes.
Sometimes with children comes discipline, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you say, or how would you describe the type of parent that Ashley was to Carly?
She was, like I said, always thinking about Carly and just Carly's first no matter what. She would do anything in the world for her and would try to get the best for her every day.
Were there times that you and Ashley would have to punish Carly?
Of course.
Give us some examples of that, Heath.
She had troubles growing up with back and forth with the stepdad and everything. So she would always wanting to try to make friends at the house and around home. And Ashley was always trying to, keep an eye on her, make sure she was okay and knew where she was. And Ashley had to fuss at her a time or two about, I know you can't go here, you can't go there, it's too late, that kind of thing. But she never really, day to day, got in trouble, really.
I want to ask you, was there a time that a boy named Thad came over to y'all's house?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen what you recall about that day?
We were all sitting at the house and there was a knock at the door and Ashley checked the doorbell camera and we didn't know who it was. Carly had talked to us about that and we knew who it was. We just didn't have a face to the name. And Carly saw who it was and didn't want to see him. So I went to the door and just said, I'm sorry, I told him you must have the wrong house and came back in and shut the door.
Where were Ashley and Carly when you were at the front door with Thad?
They went around, I guess, into the hallway or maybe one of the bedrooms, I'm not sure.
At any point, did it appear that Ashley was physically holding Carly back from going to the front door?
No.
At any time after you told told Thad that Carly didn't live there, did Carly act like she was upset with you?
No.
Did she act like she was upset with Ashley?
No.
Do you think that she would have been mad enough to have said, like, she almost murdered y'all because you wouldn't let Thad come in the house?
That's not the feeling I got from it at all.
I want to talk to you about back in 2021. Carly would have been in middle school. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Were they living in the house with you,
Yes,
Carly and
ma'am.
Ashley? Carly was in the 7th grade, I think, then.
Sounds right. Yes.
Was there an incident where Carly got in trouble for bringing a knife to school?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about what you know about that.
All I know is we had ordered some stuff off Amazon, and since she loved doing all the arts and crafts and stuff in her room all the time, making stuff, I showed her a Swiss Army knife I had found on Amazon, like I had when I was young, and she decided on a color of one she wanted, and I ordered it for her, and she used it all the time in her room. And then all of a sudden one day, we found out she had it at school in her pocket and somehow got in trouble with it. And I don't know what happened, but they said they couldn't tell us much more at the school about it. And that's about all I know on it.
Yeah. So the knife was in Carly's pocket, not in her book bag. Is that right?
I was understanding it was in her pocket from that morning when she was using it, but
and then you didn't actually go to the school for any type of hearing in regards to that, right?
no.
That would have been something that Ashley handled.
If she went up there for that, I don't remember it. That she might have. I don't know.
What did Carly tell you, or how many days did Carly tell y'all that she had actually brought the knife to school?
I thought it was just that day.
What was the result of her bringing the knife to school?
They have a zero tolerance policy on that and sent her to an alternative school until I think it was that Christmas break and let her come back.
So she had to spend time at the alternative school as a discipline.
Yes.
What, if anything, Heath, do you know about another time that Carly got in trouble at school for cheating?
That was, I can't remember if it was this past spring semester or when it was. Everything is kind of run together on exactly when. But at some point, she has always complained to us that kids constantly bug her for help with schoolwork because she can do all of it so easily and she can explain it to them better than most teachers. And she got so tired of them coming to her for stuff. Somebody just dared her or something. I'm not sure what. And apparently the teacher had a book or a computer or something open, and she took a picture with her phone of whatever was open up there.
Was it like the answers to a test or something like that?
Something like that. I'm not sure exactly what now, but yes.
And then she shared those answers with other kids?
I assume so, yes, ma'am.
Was this at the same school that Ashley taught at?
Yes.
How, from your observations, how did Ashley respond when that happened?
She was just upset that she had done that, and she, talked to her about, can't be cheating, can't be letting others talk you into things. Just going with the flow of kids is not a good idea usually. So.
Heath, were there other, we talked about Thad. Was there another boy that Carly was in some sort of dating relationship with that y'all knew about?
She had been dating Anthony. Honestly, forgot his last name right now.
That's okay. But you and Ashley knew about him?
Yes, ma'am.
Had he been to y'all's house before?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there any time that you or Ashley told Carly, hey, you need to end this relationship with him?
I didn't get into a lot of that. Ashley had talked with Carly about him, and some of the things that was going on, and they had supposedly ended it.
I believe you told, well, do you recall telling law enforcement that there were times that you and Ashley both would go through Carly's phone?
Yes, we tried to keep an eye on her.
Was there ever a time that you or Ashley took Carly's phone away from her?
So Ashley had the parental controls on her phone, and we got to where we weren't going to let her take it into her room when it was bedtime. We had to keep it like on the kitchen counter, or we'd keep it in our bedroom sometimes. But she had her phone most of the time, so she could be able to call or text us if needed. She might have not let her take it to school some days. I can't remember exactly, but most of the time when she was out and about, she had the phone, even if Ashley locked down some parental controls for a little while.
Why was it that y'all didn't want Carly to have the phone in her room at night?
She was worried that she would stay on it and messing with it and not sleep.
Was there ever a time after y'all thought that Carly had broken up with her boyfriend that y'all learned that in fact she had not broken up with him?
So Ashley worked at the school, and she told me she had still seen them, in the hall together, walking up and down the hall and things. And she talked to me about it and was like, she was okay with it and everything, as long as, it was okay and nothing harmful was coming of it for Carly.
Heath, do you recall a time that you and Ashley discovered that Carly had an iPod that she was using to communicate with people?
Yes, that was another thing that her dad had talked her into doing to get around communication. He was, I think, kind of paranoid about everything, and that Ashley might have been controlling Carly's communication with him, even though she always left those communication channels open, even when she locked down the phone.
Did it appear to y'all that she was in fact talking to her dad on the iPod?
I don't think so.
Who was she communicating with?
I'm not sure if she was communicating with kids so much as she was on like TikTok and some of that kind of stuff.
And y'all had asked her not to be on those accounts?
Yes.
Do you remember when that was, Heath? Around what time of year?
I don't remember that.
Was there ever a time that you and Ashley learned that Carly had been cutting her thighs with a knife?
Yes, and I was trying to think of a time frame on that, but it was, I don't know when, several months back, maybe a year.
And Heath, do you know anything about Carly taking any sleeping pills?
Nothing other than she used to sleep like a rock, and Ashley always had sleeping trouble, and she would take a melatonin at night, and it was a week or so she had a bad cold, and she was taking some NyQuil. I think she said that helped out some too. So
around the time that y'all found the iPod and Carly was cutting her thighs, is that about the same time that Ashley took her for therapy for anxiety and stress?
Within, I don't know, I think that was maybe a couple months maybe before, seems like.
Is that your understanding, though? That's what you told law enforcement of why Carly was in therapy, was anxiety and stress?
Yes, ma'am. It was something like that. I think she was kind of depressed some days.
And I think you told them that there were times that you would go maybe to the therapist's office with her, but you weren't actually sitting in any of those appointments, were you?
No, ma'am. I went up there with them a couple of times, but it was kind of a little waiting room outside.
And you don't have any personal knowledge about any medication that was prescribed to you?
Not until after this. I knew she'd been on one, and they changed her up to something else.
you don't have any knowledge on whether or not Carly was actually taking that medicine, do you?
She had been taking one a day, I think, until they wanted to swap her up to a different one. So I'm not sure on the time frames on that. I'm sure it's in the record somewhere.
Yeah, and I've been prescribed medicine before, and sometimes I take it, sometimes I don't. Did you actually physically see Carly taking her medication?
Ashley would have her go get it and make sure she was taking the whatever it was, one a day or whatever. She kept an eye on that.
Do you know if on March the 19th, 2024, did you see Carly take any medicine?
The 19th?
Yeah, March the 19th of 2024.
No, ma'am, not that afternoon.
The morning.
Oh, no, I don't know about that morning. She usually would take it in the evening when she ate.
Okay.
I think.
Sorry, that was a bad question. So Carly would actually take her medicine in the afternoon.
I think so.
Okay. When's the last time that you saw your wife alive?
That was the morning of the 19th.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen kind of how that morning went?
Everything seemed just as normal as ever. She got up and went to work just like always. She would fix tea or something in the morning and get in the car and take off. Nothing seemed unusual at all.
Did you also see Carly that morning?
Yes.
Can you describe for us what, if anything, you noticed about Carly that morning?
Didn't notice anything different.
How would Ashley get to work every morning?
She'd drive her and Carly down to the school.
And then how would they both ride back together from school to the house?
Yes.
Did they usually leave, or on March the 19th, did they leave before you or after you that morning?
Usually a couple minutes before.
What about not on the 19th, but on a regular day? Would they get home before or after you got home from work?
They were always home before me unless something happened at my work and I was able to get out a minute early, which is very rare.
What time would they usually get home from school?
I'm not sure on that. I don't know, I guess school was out maybe 3:15, I don't know. And it's whatever traffic allows, 15 minutes or something up the road maybe.
Typically, what time do you get home from work?
It varies. Usually I get out of work about 4:30 and sometimes I hit that evening traffic and it's 20 minutes or so before I make it 3 or 4 miles to the house.
And where is your house?
Right off of Old Fannin out in Farmington Station.
That's here in Rankin County?
Yes, ma'am, out towards the reservoir.
And the distance from where you work to where you live is probably only about 5 miles, right?
Yeah, it's not far. It's just morning and evening traffic takes a little while.
Do you know if Ashley and Carly were at school all day on March the 19th?
As far as I know.
I want to ask you, Heath, were there times that you and Ashley would text each other on your cell phone?
Yes.
Do you recall talking to Ashley on March the 19th?
I don't recall, other than that evening I got a text saying she was going to go to the grocery store.
Permission to break some intern. Keep that handed back to you. If you don't mind, if you'll look through those messages, please.
Okay.
Do those, and admittedly, these are not all of the messages between you and Ashley Smiley forever, are they?
Right.
Does this appear to be a true and accurate copy of the messages starting at 4:30 that day when she's talking to you about going to Kroger?
It seems to be.
And are we to ask that these messages be marked as the state's next exhibit?
Any objection? No objection. Be admitted essay. It starts at, I think it says 3:20.
And thank you, he corrected me. Yeah, I apologize, Heath, you're right. The first message I was looking at was actually from the day before. I'm sorry, on 3/18. So on the bottom of that page, your page 2 of that exhibit, what does Ashley say to you? She says, I need to go to Kroger, thinking about going on the way home. Do you want anything?
Yes.
Did that appear to be a normal message that you and Ashley would have with each other?
Yes.
I think then you go on to tell her a couple things that you want. If you'll read for the ladies and gentlemen, kind of just a grocery list, right?
Yeah, just Mountain Dew, some soft serve ice cream, a couple of kinds of bread that I eat, and some random chips, just some junk food stuff.
And again, typical message between you and Ashley.
Yes.
And then at some point, does she respond back to you?
Yes, she replied back later. Says gonna go later.
Still sounds like something Ashley would text to you.
Yes.
Tell us about what that next message is that you got from Ashley's phone. He
said, "You almost home, honey."
Does that sound like something Ashley would typically say to you?
Not typically, but it wouldn't have been totally out of the realm. I think she would have phrased it slightly different, but I don't know.
What time was that text message sent to you?
That says 4:14.
Do you recall telling law enforcement that you thought that Carly actually sent you that text instead of Ashley?
I was wondering about that one at the time. Yes.
And then what did you respond to that message?
Said, no, I'll be here for a little bit yet. I'm at work.
And then you can't see it on this, but I think maybe Carly or whoever had her Ashley's phone sent you a thumbs up.
Sounds correct. Yes, it's not on there.
So let me ask you, what made you think that was Carly that sent that message and not Ashley?
I don't know, just something with the phrasing of it, maybe. I'm not sure.
I want to walk you through prior to March the 19th, 2024, did y'all have any type of surveillance cameras at your house?
Yes, we had a couple of things around. The Ring doorbell, well, I'm sorry, it's not a Ring, it was a Wise brand doorbell. Ashley had gotten to see if packages and stuff were being delivered during the day.
Were there other cameras either in the garage or inside the home?
Yes. 1 second.
Take your time.
We had one camera in the kitchen that I had actually gotten years before. I was going to actually put it at my mom's house so she could see what her dog was doing when she went outside and all. But the internet out there in the country is so slow it wouldn't run. So I had set it up at my house, I guess, well before I had even met Ashley. And it had just been sitting around, you know.
And that was a Wise brand camera also?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if that camera had any kind of like a SD card in it?
Ashley had put an SD card in it at some point, yes.
And I'm not super techie, but an SD card is just kind of something like you put in a regular camera to hold pictures or hold videos. Is that right?
Yes.
Was there any way to tell what time a video popped up from that camera?
That camera was older and had some issues working with the newer software. I'm not sure on that. Ashley had been trying to work with it some, but
Could you? I know I have a security system at my house, and there are times that mine's motion activated, and that it'll ding on my phone, and I can watch kind of who's outside my house. Did you have that ability?
no.
What about on the inside camera?
Well, the doorbell camera would ding if somebody walked up, like UPS dropping a package off or something, but the inside camera, she never could make it do anything like that. If it had that capability, it wasn't on or working.
So you weren't able to actually watch the inside from an app or anything like that?
I think you could pull up like a live stream on it, but it wasn't like dinging your phone every time the dogs moved in the house or anything like that.
Which is probably a good thing, right?
Right.
So I want to ask Keith, have you ever viewed the footage from the inside cameras from March the 19th of 2024 at your house?
No.
You said that there was also a camera in the garage area?
Yes. Ashley had set that one up maybe a week or something before.
Could you tell the ladies and gentlemen kind of how that camera was activated?
So she actually got that not to use as a camera. She wanted to be able to remotely open and close the garage door and make sure she had remembered to put it down when she left and that kind of thing. And Wise had a camera that you set in your garage that would watch the door, and it knew, to open or close it when you wanted to, and you had a camera as well. So she mounted it on the garage door opener itself.
And that camera, did it also record video and audio?
Yes.
The way that those clips work, how long is each clip on one of those videos?
I would have to go back and look at the time on that. I'm not certain.
Do you have any reason to disagree with the fact that it's like a minute clip at a time?
Perhaps.
Is there any way, other than deleting videos on those computer systems, are you aware of any way that somebody could go in and physically like edit a video from that?
Not that I know of.
And Heath, at some point, and I want to talk a little bit about it later, but at some point, did you actually watch some video from the garage camera from March the 19th?
Yes, the Rankin County officers had been all out in the garage looking through stuff, and I just assumed that they had gotten it in the card and everything. And a couple days after, I guess it was the 21st, somewhere in there, I realized that the card was still in, the SD card was still in the camera in the garage. And I was kind of looking at some of the footage that it might have caught.
Can you tell me, I believe there were like 4 videos that may be relevant to March of 19.
That sounds right. Yes, ma'am.
2 videos of Ashley and Carly coming home. Is that right?
I think so.
And then the video camera captures you pulling into the driveway and walking into the home.
Yes.
And then you've seen the last video, and you can't see the shooting, but you can actually hear when you walk into the house, yes, the first gunshot.
Yes, the newer cameras had the ability to start recording when they heard a noise, or I think I've even read where some of them are smart enough to hear the sound of, like, if somebody breaks through a window or something like that, they'll start recording for home security reasons.
So you've actually listened back and watched that particular video?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to talk to you about, tell the ladies and gentlemen, Heath, and I know it's probably difficult to take as much time as you need. Tell the ladies and gentlemen exactly what you remember about when you came home on March the 19th, 2024.
Everything seemed pretty normal, and I came on in, and when I opened the door to the kitchen there, gun went off in my face before the door was, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches wide open, and everything kind of went pretty fast from there. It was a blur. So.
I want to take you back just a step. Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, saw a bit of a video from inside your house, but just so we're clear, when you say you were coming into the kitchen, I believe you pull into the garage and there's a door that leads from the garage into the home.
Yes.
And then there's a little laundry room area.
Yes.
And then there's another door kind of beside your refrigerator that leads from the laundry room into the kitchen area.
Yes.
Were you coming in the first door or the second door when the gun went off?
The second door from the laundry room to the kitchen.
And do you remember, is there anything you do every day when you come in the house?
Usually stop and take my shoes off there and come on in and change clothes.
Do you remember if you took your shoes off on March the 19th?
I think I did. Yeah.
Was it unusual for that second door to be closed in your house?
Sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. We would shut that door a lot of times, trying to keep the sound of the washer and dryer down, or trying to keep one of the dogs out of the garbage can that we had in there.
I have to do something similar. Y'all have 2 large dogs, right?
2 golden retrievers.
And so on that day, the second door was what was closed.
Yes.
I believe you said that you didn't get it open probably 3 or 5 inches before it went off. What did you remember seeing, Heath?
Just gun flash in my face, and went off 2 more times, but my hand was on the gun after the first shot. I twisted it from her.
Who was pointing that gun at you?
It was Carly.
Who pulled the trigger when you opened the door?
The first one I know was Carly. After that, my hand was on the gun too, and I know I had a scratch on my thumb and all. I very well could have hit it. I know that third time.
How close, Heath, was that gun to your face when that went off?
Maybe a foot.
Did you ever get struck by a bullet?
Yes, one of them kind of grazed right through this muscle up here.
Can you tell, ladies and gentlemen, what did that feel like?
I know this sounds weird, but I honestly have never felt it to this day.
When the gun went off in your face, tell, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, was your body in a state of shock?
Not at that moment. I was trying to figure out what was going on.
Did you see anybody inside your home other than Carly?
No.
Walk us through, you said that you were able to at some point get the gun from her. Tell us, Heath, what is it that you remember after that?
She was screaming out of her mind, scared. It was like she had seen a demon or something. She was terrified. And my first thought was there was an intruder somewhere, and she thought she was after somebody else.
And to be clear, Carly never told you that she thought somebody else was in the house, right?
No, that's the feeling that I got. She was terrified out of her mind.
And at that time, you did not yet know that your wife was dead, right?
No, not at that time.
So Carly's scared. She's screaming when she shoots at you. How many shots went off from that gun?
At that time, there was 3.
What type of gun was it that you took from Carly?
It was my Taurus revolver.
And what type of what caliber of weapon is that?
So the gun is a 357 Magnum, but I think it had 38 special rounds in it. If the gun's a 357, it can also shoot 38s, a little bit lighter recoil.
And what color was that gun?
It's just the gun matte silver.
Prior to taking it out of Carly's hand, where was the last time you saw that gun?
Ashley kept it on her side of the bed. So it had been there for probably a couple of years.
When you say on her side of the bed, was it on a nightstand or was it somewhere else?
I think she kept it. We had like little cubbies underneath the edge of the bed. The mattress is sitting up on. I think it was sitting up under there.
Between the mattress and the cubbies, like
Well, I
underneath
think
the
it was
mattress?
I think she just had it in a cubby under there.
Was the gun just loose or was it in some sort of holster the last time you saw it?
I do not recall that. It was a while back. It had been sitting for a long time.
Did you have other guns in the house on that day?
Yes, I had an old shotgun that I've had for years that's unloaded in the closet, and I had an AR that I had gotten. It was also unloaded in the closet.
Were there some other guns maybe in a safe too somewhere?
There was a Glock in the safe.
Um,
There was a BB gun probably in the house somewhere too. I don't know.
Do you know if Carly knew the location of any of those guns?
She probably knew about the two in the closet, but like I said, they were unloaded, and the last time I had tried to talk her into shooting, she was too little to even hold them up. They're heavy, big.
And you had several guns in your house. Did you and Ashley ever go shoot guns?
Yes, we did.
That was something y'all enjoyed doing together?
Yes.
When you took the gun out of Carly's hand, what did you do with the gun?
I was holding on to it, and like I said, I at that time thought there might be someone else in the house, like an intruder or something. So I immediately started checking the house and looking for Ashley.
Did you attempt to call Ashley also?
I did.
I want to take just a step back, Keith. You get the gun from Carly. You said that she was screaming. What did she do next?
She fell back into the kitchen island, just kind of straight back onto her butt, and was screaming, jumped up, ran out the back door. And I mean, I'm still pretty quick and agile, but I knew I couldn't catch her. She was moving so fast. She ran out the back and took off, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to catch her, so I turned around, stepped back in, and I locked the back door behind me.
Do you know why you locked the back door?
Because I was thinking there might be someone else out and about and around, in or out of the house. So I went to checking the house.
Do you remember telling anybody that you were in such shock that you didn't even try to shoot Carly back or anything like that?
No, it was very evident to me immediately that something was very, very off with Carly. The way she was screaming, the way she looked, she was moving so fast.
So, Heath, you said Carly is at this point, she's out of the house, she's run off. You never actually saw someone, other than Carly at the house, right?
No.
So you locked the back door, you're going through the house, you have this firearm still in your hand. At any point, did you open up the firearm?
I opened the cylinder on it to check to see how many had been used or was left in it. I closed it back up and started checking the house.
When you opened it back up, how many live rounds did it appear were left in the gun?
Just one.
And how many rounds does that .357 Magnum revolver hold?
It's a 7-shot.
So you knew that she'd fired. At that point, you knew she'd fired 3 at or in your direction.
Yes.
You did not know what the other 3 had been used for.
Correct.
The last time you saw that gun, were all 7 rounds live?
As far as I know, I guess the last time it had been used was a couple years before, or sometime when Ashley had shot at some, and I assume she had reloaded it.
So Heath, you're walking through the house. You have this gun, afraid that maybe there's somebody else in the house. You said, I believe that you tried to call Ashley.
Yes.
Did she answer?
No.
Did you find her phone?
Found her phone. It was on a counter in our living room.
Was there a second phone beside it?
Yes.
Did you recognize the other phone?
I didn't really stop to look.
So you realize that Ashley's phone is there. Walk us through what happened next, Heath.
Checked our bedroom, bathroom, closet, other side of the bed, under the desk in there, and turned and started looking, going towards the other end of the house. And I glanced in our spare little 3rd bedroom, and then turned and went into Carly's room. And that's where I found Ashley.
When you found Ashley, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen what you saw?
She was laying on her back and had her hands kind of across her, and a towel over her face.
Do you remember what color the towel was?
I do not.
When you saw her laying there, what's the very next thing that you did?
Checked her pulse, see, and kind of moved the towel, and then called 911.
And Heath, when you moved the towel, what did you see?
I knew she had been shot. There was blood around, but I don't really recall exactly where. Somewhere in the right side of her face there.
You said you called 911.
Yes.
What did you tell the 911 operator had happened?
I tried to immediately tell him I needed the police out, that my wife had been killed and I had been shot.
Do you remember telling them who had shot you?
I assume I said Carly on there, but I don't remember exact details.
Do you recall telling the 911 operator that, oh my God, she's killed her mother too?
I don't recall saying that, but it's very possible, I guess.
At that point, Heath, did you think that Carly was the one that had killed her mother?
I didn't know what was going on at that point. I kind of went into shock there.
At some point, and again, the ladies and gentlemen, Heath, have seen some of the body cam footage from that day, but at some point, someone from the sheriff's department does come to your house.
Yes.
Walk us through what you remember happening once he gets there.
I don't know much there other than I got out the front door and just laid down on the front porch.
And it's pretty safe to say that you were still in a state of shock.
Yes.
At some point, were you loaded up by the paramedics?
Yes.
And where did they take you?
took me to Baptist Hospital ER.
And what was the reason for taking you to Baptist Hospital?
They wanted to get me checked out and make sure everything was okay. They knew it wasn't real bad or anything, so they just trying to be cautious.
But you had in fact suffered a gunshot wound.
Yes, they got me down to the ER and they put a piece of gauze, taped some gauze on it, and sent me back home.
And it went through your kind of right, like trap muscle
Yes.
area. How far? I mean, not to pick on you, you don't look like a very large man. He's pretty average size. I mean, would you agree with me that where your trap muscle is in your head are about 6 inches apart?
No, I guess, yes.
So that shot was pretty close to your head.
It was close, yes.
The gunshot actually, thank goodness, went kind of through and through, right?
Yes.
So you didn't require any surgery to remove the projectiles.
No.
In fact, Heath, I think you were actually, excuse me, I think you were actually released to go home that evening.
Yes, like I said, they taped a piece of gauze on me, and I don't remember them doing a whole lot else.
And the night was probably pretty hectic as far as telling people what happened and what was going on. But at any point, did you ever tell anyone that it was someone other than Carly Gregg that had shot you or Ashley?
Not that I recall, no, ma'am.
And to this day, you've not told anyone that you think that the person that shot you or shot Ashley was somebody other than Carly, have you?
No.
We talked a little bit about law enforcement being at the house that night. At some point, they kind of released the scene back over to you, right?
Yes, I think when I returned back from the ER, they had finished up and cleared out, and there was a guy had me sign a paper and went on back in.
Kind of saying the things that they'd taken from the home that night.
Yes, ma'am.
Heath, I mean, you go back home and they've taken some things out, but of course there's still, I mean, clear evidence that a murder had happened there, right?
Yes.
At some point, do you notify law enforcement about the garage camera?
Yes, I think it was Friday morning. I was looking through that SD card to see if it had caught anything. And of course, the cops were looking all around, everywhere in the garage for various things, and had apparently not seen the camera. And they found the 4 videos that you referenced, and I called and told them I had found something else and they'd come pick it up or whatever, and they had still at that time not returned my driver's license to me, so they decided to bring that out.
And at some point they did actually get those videos from you.
Yes.
And to be clear, there was some confusion about an Apple computer and copying
Yes,
versus
I
cutting.
had
Sorry.
moved those 4 videos over to my computer. I was just going to let them have the card with everything on it. And when I moved them over, it pulled them off the card onto the computer rather than like a copy and paste and making a copy onto mine. So the officers came back in and were talking to me about tampering with evidence and possible charges of messing with evidence, even though I called them out there to come get the card.
And to be clear, I don't think they ever told you they were going to charge you with tampering. They just explained that they didn't want it to look like somebody might have done that, correct?
No, he said we're trying to avoid having to charge you with tampering with evidence.
Okay. At that point, you're still pretty much in a state of shock, right?
Yes, there was 4 or 5 of them in my bedroom,
And in fact, if that was said to you, that would certainly not be indicative of what you would want to, how you would want to be treated, right?
I didn't know. I was just trying to be helpful at that point and figure out what had happened or why.
And I believe even on that day and after that, you did still continue to assist law enforcement in the investigation, right?
Yes.
At some point, you decided that you no longer wanted to communicate with the state or law enforcement, right?
Yes. After a few things that had happened, I went and got a lawyer.
Let's see. You talked about you told us about the garage camera and the incident. And to be clear, this was just an honest mistake. And I think that was relayed even by the officer and you, that this was, instead of copying and pasting something, you accidentally cut and pasted something.
Yeah, I mean, that's a new laptop that was sitting there. I got it rather than a Windows computer this time to try out. And when I realized that mistake, I said, you can take the whole computer, just whatever, and I had it sitting there open. So he just moved it over, got on the computer and moved it over himself, one of them.
At that time, no one had been able to find the camera from the kitchen. Is that right?
Correct.
Where all, if you would tell ladies and gentlemen, I mean, we knew the camera was missing. Where all did you look for that camera?
Everywhere I could possibly think of. I looked high and low through the whole house. I mean, I wasn't looking just for the physical camera. I mean, it's a little shorter than that water bottle probably. But I was looking through small stuff even for the SD cards, like they're the size of your thumb, postage stamp size maybe. And I was looking in shoes and boots and clothes drawers and pockets of clothes. I looked through every tiny little shred of garbage before I let any garbage go out of the house. I don't know, I guess it was that Friday garbage comes through. Everywhere I could look for, and I continued to look for it for a long time.
And law enforcement had been at your house and also had searched kind of high and low in the home looking for that too, right?
After I got them to actually, look for it the second time around, they didn't seem to be too interested in finding it at first.
Are you aware that they also went and searched outside, looking everywhere between your home and where Carly was found?
I know they looked in the backyard, and one of them was kind of looking over the fence just to see if anything had been thrown anywhere.
At some point, was that camera found?
Yes, I later found it. As a lot of y'all know, when something happens, everybody always brings tons of food over, and the refrigerator had gotten just packed full of stuff, and we were slowly trying to clean that stuff out and get rid of it over time. And I found the camera back. It was actually back behind some water bottles about like that in the back of the fridge.
Was that the same day, Heath, that law enforcement had been looking for the camera at the house?
Yes, that's the third time they came out to search the house and the yard and all around. They searched and didn't find anything.
Who was there when you, who found the camera?
I did.
Who was there when you found it, Heath?
My mom was there, and like I said, law enforcement had just left a few minutes before.
And based off your prior conversation with them, you wanted to make sure that they were in fact the ones that came and got it, that you
Yes.
didn't mess with it, right?
Correct.
And so what did you do to let them know that you'd found the camera?
I called back the number that I had for Mr. Zach Cotton, and I don't know, I guess that goes to our front desk, and they had to patch me through somehow, or he called me back or something, I don't remember. Okay.
And what's your understanding of who Zach Cotton is?
He had given me his card to contact him. I'm just assuming he was like the main investigator.
And I want to take you back a step, and we'll come back to the camera heat. I mean, you had actually come into the sheriff's department and given an interview with Investigator Cotton, right?
Yes,
And that was before this had happened.
I believe so. Yes, ma'am.
And that's when you told him that Carly was in therapy for stress and anxiety.
Yes.
How long, do you know how long that camera had been in the refrigerator?
I don't know.
Did you put that camera in the refrigerator?
No.
Based off what you know, how do you think that camera got put in the refrigerator?
I'm assuming that.
Objections, speculation, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I'll rephrase the question. When's the last time you saw that camera plugged in at your house?
I guess previous day. It might not have noticed if it had been gone then, but I'm assuming it was there the previous day.
And when you got home on March the 19th, 2024, was that camera still attached in the kitchen?
No.
And who was the only person besides your deceased wife that had been in your home that afternoon?
Well,
that you knew of?
At that time, Carly, but we since found out there was another person in there.
And do you, as you sit here today, you have no knowledge that that person moved anything in your house, right?
I don't know if anybody knows.
Sure.
I don't know.
Had she been over to your house before, the other girl?
Carly had a couple friends over a time or two, and I do believe she had been there once before, yes.
Did she have any like direct interaction with you when she was there?
No, I was laying on the couch when a bunch of them came through and said hey, and they were in Carly's room or messing around in the backyard some of the time.
When you left for work on March 19th, 2024, did you ever see that morning or the night before, had you seen any empty vape pen boxes?
No.
If they had been sitting, if they were found at the desk in your bedroom, would you have seen those before you left for work?
I would believe so.
Do you know anything about Carly using drugs, Heath?
I had no idea of it until the events of I guess until the second police search.
And what are you referencing when you talk about the second search?
When they came back, I guess it was Friday, so after the murder had taken place, and they came out with a couple of things out of Carly's room that we had no clue of. So I don't know anything about them. It was new to me.
When you told law enforcement that you'd found the camera in the refrigerator, at that point, did you give them consent to kind of see what was on that camera?
Yes. He had me sign something as he was taking it, so I assumed that was consent.
I want to take you back to the interview that you gave with Investigator Cotton, and you probably don't remember the contents of all that, right? It was,
Not at this time. I think we were in there for a while and covered a lot.
do you remember talking to him about what might have been stressing Carly out at the time?
I don't remember that conversation, no.
Do you remember him asking you, kind of midway toward the end of the conversation about if there was anything else that you knew about Carly or about what was going on that might be helpful to their investigation?
I don't remember at this point what was said there. I know y'all probably got a record of it, but I don't recall.
And that's okay. You know, when traumatic things happen, our bodies respond in certainly different ways. And you know, I don't think anyone in this room wants to experience what you've experienced. And so I don't expect you to remember everything. You had a lot of questions on that day, right, about what happened.
Yeah.
Heath, at some point, there was a no contact order put in place between you and Carly.
Yes.
Did you ask the court to lift that?
Yes.
And since that time, you've had contact with her?
Yes.
At any time during your communication with Carly, has she told you that she was not the person that killed her mother?
No. We have not had any kind of conversation, anything like that. Nothing to do with the case or the trial.
Do you see Carly in the courtroom, Heath?
Yes.
If you could you point her out?
Right there.
And could you tell me where at that table that you pointed at that she's sitting?
She's in between Mr. Camp and Miss Todd in black.
And is that the same person that shot you with that .357 Magnum on March the 19th, 2024?
Yes.
May the record reflect the defendants identified that the witness has identified the defendant. I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor. Thank you, Heath.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's 10:30. It's about time for we'll take a mid-morning break and a mid-afternoon break. If y'all would, go on ahead. I'm going to have you step to the back to the jury room, use the restroom, get any coffee, get any water that you need, okay? When we get back, we'll go till lunchtime, all right? Everyone remain seated while the jury exits. All right, the record will reflect we're outside the presence of the jury. Mr. Smiley, we're going to take a break. If you want to use the restroom, one of the bailiffs will show you to a restroom in the back, but I don't want you discussing the case with anyone in between. As soon as you're finished using the restroom, they'll bring you back up here, okay? But no discussions about the case, not with me, not with anybody, okay? All right, for everybody else, it's 10:32. We'll be in recess till 10:45.
Okay, it looks like they are taking their mid-morning break. Ashley, this case is about a 14-year-old who shot and unalived her mother, attempted to do the same to her stepfather, but failed. She invited some of her schoolmates over to have a look-see at the body. And I just feel like matricide seems to be on the rise thanks to our good friend, Gypsy Blanchard. And so we're going to be covering more cases about young people harming their parents. There's one that just came out in Florida of a boy who just, I don't know if he did it to his father or his mother, but just happened again. So we are covering it. They're taking their break. The stepdad who she attempted to unalive is on the stand currently. And yeah, she's showing big emotions. I think she is remorseful. I mean, she's 14 years old. Yeah, it's insane. She's 15 now, but she was 14 years old, you guys. And the reason she did it was she was using substances, and her friends told her mother about it. And she found out that the friends told the mother. The mother and her had a ride home that we don't know what happened. And then she did what she did to her mother, invited some friends over, didn't tell them why. They came over and she showed them. And then the stepdad was pulling up. She told them to get out of the house. She had 3 bullets left. The kid left the house and didn't warn the stepfather what was about to happen. And yeah, and then she ran. There is body cam footage from yesterday that we watched of the police trying to get her. And there's a lot of juveniles that are testifying in this case. So what happens when the juveniles go on the stand, the cameras just stop. But Court TV has been feeding us the questions. So I've been reading the questions and the questions and the answers. So I've been reading the questions and the answers. So if you missed this morning, that's what happened this morning. And then the stepfather is on the stand. So that is the case in a nutshell. And it's a good one. I think it's a good one. It's a little bit bothersome that, the kids are on the stand and the cameras have to be shut off. But, that's just my inconvenience. I totally get it. I might bitch and moan about it, you guys, because I'm a bitcher and a moaner, but I don't mean anything by it. Okay, so I thought we could maybe look at some of what happened yesterday. Go into that. We were looking at the police body cam footage, but I'm going to show you some news reports, and we might go into the body cam footage. It is daytime, so Junebug Cash is on the loose. That's my green cheek conure. If you hear a Mickey Mouse voice in the background, that's him. Daytime, you get a little added bonus of the bird. The nighttime lives, he goes to bed and we go live at 8. So goes to bed at 7, we go live at 8. So it's nice and quiet then. Okay, and those are Sunday, Wednesday, and Fridays that we do the nighttime lives. All right, so let's take a peek at this. Let me make sure you can see what I'm showing you.
Finalized, and things got started with the prosecution bringing up 3 witnesses. The jury was first able to hear the 911 call made by Carly Gregg's stepfather, Heath Smiley. Then they were able to see the body cam footage from a Rankin County deputy who was first to arrive on scene, and finally hearing from one of Carly Gregg's.
Completely out of hand, completely. And I can't see how people can't see that the rise of a social media influencer that unalived her mother, that plotted, planned, and I don't believe for a second that she didn't help unalive her mother. And now we're getting this. I don't believe for a second.
closest friends. The first to take the stand was Kevin Collins, a dispatcher for the Rankin County Sheriff's Department, who picked up the 911 call made by Heath Smiley. The call was played for members of the jury who heard Heath Smiley tell Collins that Gregg tried to kill him after she shot and killed her mother. Heath Smiley was heard crying hysterically, almost inaudible, over the phone before sharing the events that took place to Collins. While the 911 call was being played, you can see Gregg crying and getting emotional in the courtroom. The second witness to take the stand was Rankin County Deputy Hunter Lewis, who says he was the first to arrive on scene. The prosecution then played his body cam footage showing Heath Smiley hysterical and devastated by the loss of his wife. The jury was able to see Deputy Lewis find Ashley Smiley dead in Gregg's bedroom, lying on her back with a towel on her face. The defense cross-examined, questioning Collins about the body cam footage.
Said that his stepdaughter had shot him.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I think it took you a couple times because you had asked, what does your son look like? And it took you a couple that you had to think to realize that it's actually a stepdaughter, not a stepson. Would that be correct?
Yes, sir.
And this is all on, this is all on video, correct? We just saw the video. This is all on video.
Yes, sir.
That's what we would call a body cam, right?
Correct.
Okay.
You know that's what that is?
Because I initialed it after I watched it.
Okay. So you watched that and initialed it?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. That the footage that you watched on there, is that a true and accurate depiction of what your body cam recorded on March 19th, 2024 at 214 Ashton Way?
Yes, sir, it is.
Had that video been edited or altered in any way?
No, sir.
All right. Your Honor, at this time we would move this in as State's Exhibit 2.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Be admitted without objection, S2.
It's getting completely
Your
out
Honor,
of
I would ask for permission to close this to the jury.
All right.
Laura Lynn says, I think Gypsy did a lot more than plan it. I agree. Gypsy had a big hand to play in her mother's murder. I don't even think she was alive when Nick showed up. That's a cool possibility. I don't know, but I do think that she did more than just plan it, like Laura Lynn says. And hi, Laura Lynn. Hi, Ashley. Hi. And hi to everybody out there just kind of hanging out watching. They're on their morning break, and so they're kind of watching things that went on yesterday. The little bird's getting very extra vocal, so you're going to hear a lot of him. He's in the other room, but he's not going to be in the other room for long. The shocking 911 call made by the stepfather after Carly used their family weapon on him. It's also shocking that she could get the weapon, but I've said this over and over again. We had pew-pews in our house, and I would have been able to get a weapon very easily too. And my stepdad was an ex-police officer. Some families, it's the way it is. It's not right. It's not right, but it's just the way it is.
Inside. Sheriff's office. Sheriff's office. Hey, come on, shuffle. Hey, come here. Hey, where's your wife at, buddy? Where's your wife at? She's dead on the floor in that room. She where? Sheriff's office.
I don't feel like these are fake tears. I really think I think she was terrified of what was going to happen to her. She was obviously having some mental health issues. I think she was on some kind of medication before this happened. She had just been placed on it like 2 weeks before. And you also have to be very careful about teenagers and mental health meds because it goes south fast with teenagers. If it's not going to, it can go south fast. So I don't know.
So I need medical here.
She was using a lot of substances. Friends were, her mother was the school math teacher, and friends notified her
What's
that.
your son wearing? Hey, can you tell me what your son's wearing? Hey, I need you to talk to me. What is your son wearing?
He was in jeans and a grayish t-shirt. She's got short brownish hair.
So jeans, a gray t-shirt, short brown hair.
She ran into the backyard. I tried to follow her. She jumped the fence and ran. She shot me in the neck.
But
It's okay.
does she still have the gun?
It's on the kitchen counter. I think there's one live round left in it. I'm still under. I went in the back door. She tried to shoot me.
Hey, I need some gloves.
He's raised. I wonder how
Hey, he's saying that she ran towards Magnolia Place. Are you sure? He's grazed, but he's considered. It went through his shirt.
You got me right there.
Magnolia Place, they gave the subdivision.
She ran over the side back towards my vehicle. She might have looked around this way.
Might look back going back towards the pond right there. Hold on just a second. She does not have the firearm. The firearm is here at the house.
mental health meds and children can be very terrifying, and you have to be really careful.
She's laying in the floor with a towel.
I say this because my background is I have a BA in social psych, and I've worked with kids a lot in my background.
That's all that one system.
I did wonder how they would dress her because she had been coming into court in this schoolgirl outfit, and they put her in all white. I actually haven't looked at her to see what she's wearing today. I think she's wearing white again today. I don't remember, to be honest. Didn't look at her that close today. Oh, interesting. She's wearing black today. But they're putting her in these like high-powered looking attorney suits. Like they're putting her in Mary Kay, like if a Mary Kay representative came to your door kind of suit. I thought she was wearing black today. Because isn't this her today?
Does she have any kind of, what's her name?
Yesterday she was in the white thing. She doesn't look like she's holding up very well. I mean, she's 15 years old. And she's being charged as an adult. She's being held in an adult prison. She's being treated as an adult. And I'm wrong. I don't feel good about treating these kids as an adult, because before they did the crime, they weren't allowed to be an adult. So now that she is being charged as an adult, are we going to let her vote? Are we going to let her buy whatever, an adult can buy until she gets sent away? I just... They offered her a 40-year plea deal, and she turned it down. I think I would too if I was 14 years old.
She did not go out the back door.
But I know I would never do this.
That's what he's claiming. Gray shirt, blue jeans, short brown hair. Hey, y'all do be advised. There's several firearms in the house, but the one that he's saying was used is laying on the table, but they don't.
Looks like they're... Okay, it looks like they're coming back in.
Marked as S9.
It's very quiet. I'm having a hard time. It's not on my end. It's the whoever's filming it. I'm having a hard time hearing it. I've tried my sound booster and it's just not boosting.
As soon as they're finished, we'll get the DVD up. It's in there. Okay. You may proceed. Does the defense wish to publish this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, I was watching actually a story about, they put this little 14-year-old who had was developmentally delayed into this jail, only made it worse for him. And then it turned out that he didn't even do what his family members said he did, and he was institutionalized basically, and didn't have any of the behaviors. What are we looking at? Hold on a second. I don't know what we're looking at here. What are they doing? I'm not sure what's going on. But anyway, it did well. One of his mental health people adopted him, but yeah. Oh, this is the this is the home footage of him coming home. The stepfather coming home. Oh. I have good hearing too, but I'm having a hard time hearing this. Hi, Eric. How are you doing? I've been okay. Back doing my show, doing true crime, conspiracies, and paranormal. You think she's remorseful too? I do too. I think the jury's gonna think so too. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. This is wrong. This is her coming home with her mother. This is not her stepfather coming home. This was her coming home with her mother. Now, this is just after the friends told the mother that she was using substances. She does need to face consequences, but she doesn't need to be in prison for life. I don't even think she needs to be there for 40 years. I do like paranormal stuff. We actually do our paranormal segments on Sunday. Sundays are paranormal days. And then Wednesday and Fridays are our true crime. And I've been covering live trials during the day. On Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, we go live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, I'm glad that you're doing a new show called Cryptids. We're growing really well over on YouTube. We're coming up on 5K. And I'm trying to find a moderator over on Facebook and over on Instagram. Ashley Zawoki. Why does that seem really very familiar to me? Zawoki seems familiar. Is there a guy Zawoki? I think that's her screaming, the mother.
Mr. Smiley, is that a true and accurate representation of what you recall once you got home that afternoon?
Yes.
I need a new setup.
What was that screaming that we heard on the video?
That was Carly screaming, and you heard me holler, "What's the matter?"
And what about seeing Carly made you ask her what was wrong?
That was Carly and her friend
immediately
running.
Tell that something was bad wrong with Carly. Just the screaming, her eyes were just huge. Looked like she was terrified.
Have you ever heard Carly scream like that before?
No.
Have you ever seen Carly look as terrified as she did on March 19th before?
No.
Would Carly have any reason to run from you?
No.
Mr. Smiley, can you describe the full floor plan at your house?
I guess it's what you call a split. And it's got kind of on the north end, it's the master bedroom, bath, and closet. Living room and kitchen kind of in the middle, and then on the other end there's two smaller bedrooms that share a bathroom in between the two.
And where was Carly's bedroom?
It was on the southeast end of the house.
And
corner.
you mentioned that there was where Carly's bedroom was, there was also a bathroom and another room.
Yes.
What did you use that other bedroom for?
A lot of just general storage stuff, and had some weights, and there's a little treadmill in there.
Kind of what we call like a junk room.
Yeah, a lot of junk in the closet on a shelf and laying around.
And is there a hallway that separates the kitchen and the living room from that side of the house?
Yes.
And where was the indoor camera located?
It was in the corner of the kitchen / dining room open area.
And is the kitchen, living room area of your house, is that open?
Yes.
And let me ask you this. How would you describe your and Ashley's marriage?
We got along great. We, I don't guess we ever really had anything we just disagreed on or anything.
And were you still in your honeymoon phase? And just for the record, you can't nod. You have to answer yes or no for the
yes,
court reporter.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And what, if anything, had Carly told you about her biological dad, Kevin Gregg, doing drugs?
Everyone that I can think of, it sounds like he has either tried or does regularly.
And what did Carly tell you about her biological dad doing drugs in her presence?
He was constantly doing drugs in front of her, blowing smoke in her face. Turns out that he sat her down and made her drink an entire beer when she was 12.
And what, if anything, had Carly told you about her dad offering her drugs during her visitation periods?
Not sure on that, but I think she said they were laying around all over the place throughout his house, and I think he had tried to get her to do some various things at one point or another.
And would you say that Carly was scared of her dad?
Yes, she did not like having to go up there, and she was not herself for a day or two after coming back.
And would you say that Carly's mom was scared of her dad?
Yes. Anytime they spoke of him, it was like a deer in the headlights. They would freeze up and be shaking sometimes if they were talking about him.
And how would you describe Carly's relationship with her mom during the time that you came into her life in spring of 2019 to March 19th of 2024?
They got along great, loved doing things together. They liked a lot of the same movies, and they'd go shopping together, and they stayed together quite a bit.
Pretty tight bond?
Yes.
And is it fair to say that Ashley was protective of Carly because she'd lost a child already?
Yes, she wanted the best for Carly, watched over her all the time. Yes.
And is it fair to say because Ashley was protective of Carly that she was a little on the stricter side with things like social media?
She was. Yeah, she would read all the bad things that happened in the news on all that, and she didn't care for any of it. And I think TikTok's probably one of the ones that she didn't care for.
And TikTok was what Carly had put on the iPod, the old iPod?
Yes, just watching the usual stupid videos.
Yeah. And we've heard the phrase burner phone a few times, but when we're hearing burner phone, are we talking about the old iPod?
Yes.
Okay. So the burner phone is the old iPod she had that she somehow downloaded social media apps to.
Yes.
Okay. And Carly was in 10th grade at the time that you guys found the iPod?
Yes.
With the social media apps?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Would you say that most 10th graders want to be on social media?
Calls for speculation.
Were there any other social media apps Carly had on the iPad?
I can't remember at this time. Ashley had taken care of all that. She was way more tech savvy with that stuff than I am.
Had you and Ashley already found the old iPod?
Yes, we had. She had found it and figured out what was going on. Yeah.
And when did you guys discover the old iPad that's called people have been calling the burner phone?
I'm just going to say sometime last fall. I don't know the exact time frame.
So not in March?
No.
And we talked about an incident with Carly looking on her teacher's computer at school. Did Carly need to cheat to get good grades?
No, she loved school, but she was almost bored with school a lot of days. It was, even though she was in the advanced classes, she's a light year ahead of everything they're teaching. Anything new she picks up and just wants to be a step ahead of the teachers.
And hadn't Carly told you about that incident that the kids in her class had dared her to?
Yes, they had. Yeah, she told us about it.
And how would you describe your relationship with Carly?
All good. We've gotten along from the beginning. Hadn't really had any problems between us.
And do you have any other children?
No.
And would you say that you love Carly the same as you would a biological child?
Yes.
And what, if anything, had Ashley told you about her ex-husband's mental health issues?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
What, if anything, had Carly told you?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Have you ever had any interactions with Mr. Gregg?
No, other than I would see him in the car picking up or dropping Carly off. And a lot of times he would drop her off and leave, wouldn't even check to see if she was getting in the house.
And you said that the handgun that was used in this incident on March 19th was kept under Ashley's side of the bed?
Yes.
Was it kept in a lockbox or anything like that?
No, she just had it under the little cubbies and all we had built out for kind of storage. She had set it under there.
And why was she sleeping with a loaded handgun under her side of the bed?
She was terrified that the ex was going to show up one day and she wanted that there.
Now, in the time that you've known Carly, the 3.5 years from spring of 2019 to March 19th of 2024, had you ever seen Carly be violent?
No.
Had there ever been any incidents in which Carly was in trouble for being violent?
Not that I know of.
Had you ever seen Carly enraged?
No.
Had you ever seen Carly get mad?
No, she'd get frustrated with something every now and then if she couldn't make something work like she wanted to, or something in a video game, but she would work at it over and over and over till she figured it out and got it.
Okay. Had Carly been having any trouble at school?
No.
Had she been having any trouble with friends?
Not that I know of.
And you mentioned that Carly had a boyfriend with at school, and at first Ashley didn't like it, but then she was okay.
Yes.
Why did Ashley first have a problem with Carly having this boyfriend at school?
Just in general, she had told her she didn't want her dating until she was 16 or so, at least, and just trying to watch over her.
And do you recall a statement that you made to law enforcement back on March 19th about y'all been having problems with Carly?
Again, I don't remember exactly what all I told them at this point.
Okay. What, if any, issues had you and Ashley been having with Carly?
Just not really any problems with her, other than I think she was kind of at times depressed, or she's a teenage girl, maybe emotional, but she ended up we got her to a clinic up close to her, I guess it's in Madison there, to let her talk with a therapist.
Okay. And what had led you and Ashley to decide to put Carly in counseling?
She just didn't seem like she was her normal happy peppy self. She was just kind of depressed and sitting around more, and she she said she thought talking to somebody might help her.
Had you noticed anything else that was going on with Carly that concerned you at that time?
Not that I recall. She was kind of having problems with time management kind of stuff and maybe remembering a couple things, which is a little unusual for her with schoolwork stuff.
Can you tell me about the issues she was having with remembering things?
Oh, just
So I've been thinking about this, and the state offered her 40 years. I mean, she's 14 years old. They couldn't have offered her like 30 years. It kind of pisses me off. They're on a sidebar, and Junie and I have something to say about this. I hate it too that I'm feeling empathy for her, but it's just who I am. I'm hearing about all these problems she's having with her father, and her father forcing her to do drugs and alcohol with him. And yeah. Her never showing any form of anger till this day. She was getting into substances more and more. They put her into counseling, so it sounds like the parents were being proactive. Well, the mom at least.
Can you describe the depth of your injury that you sustained on March 19th?
It's just a spot went through my edge of the upper trap muscle right there, and kind of zipped right through. And like I said, oddly enough, I know it sounds weird, but I've never really felt it or had any trouble with it.
Did you require stitches?
No.
I think we heard an officer on one of the other cameras call it grazed. Is that a fair description?
I guess, yes.
And Mr. Malley, do you have any idea why Carly would want to shoot you?
No.
And we all heard Carly screaming when you walked into the garage, from the garage into the kitchen on March 19th. How did Carly appear to you when you walked in?
Like I said, my initial thoughts were she was terrified, scared out of her mind. I still to this day don't think she ever even recognized me. Something was wrong there. I don't know what, but something was off.
And when you walked into the house, did Carly say anything to you?
No, just was screaming.
Did she say anything in response to your question? What's wrong?
No.
Is that like the Carly that you had known for the past 3 years?
No, not at all.
Did Carly ever have any interest in guns?
No. Ashley had wanted her to go shooting with us a time or two, and I had tried to, get her to shoot a couple different times. And I think Ashley or somebody might have taken pictures the time or two that she went, but that was it. And she never was interested in going when myself and Ashley went.
And in all the time that you've known Carly, would you describe her as callous?
No.
Would you describe her as calculating?
No, except with math.
Would you describe her as diabolical?
No.
How would you describe Carly?
She's just a sweet little girl ever since I've known her. And you know, even when we take her to the playground, instead of running around playing, a lot of times she would be pushing other kids on the swing and the little, I don't know what they're called, little roundabout things that kids get on and go in a circle. She'd be the one that'd be pushing groups of kids rather than her playing. She'd go find the younger ones to try to help take care of them, and she's just sweet.
And are you aware of any medication Carly had been placed on?
She, and I can't remember the names of which one was which, she had been placed on one by the therapist that they had started her on something.
And do you recall what that medication was for?
Whatever they thought it was, whether it was, I don't know, just generalized stress or depression, or I don't know what they were thinking it was.
And do you recall how many medications that she'd been
I
on?
know she was on one, and then approximately the week before the 19th, they swapped her to another one.
And with the first medication that Carly was on, did you notice any changes in her personality or demeanor?
No.
And with the second medication that Carly was on, did you notice any changes in her personality or demeanor?
No. She had only had a chance to be on it for a handful of days. I don't know exactly how many days, but if she was just getting started on it.
And do you and Carly still have a relationship?
Yes, I think we're good.
And how frequently do you and Carly talk?
Just about every day now. I don't always get off of work in time to catch her on a phone call, but we text some back and forth over the app that's allowed, and we talk over the video chat thing that's allowed through the jail and on weekends. So we're good.
Prior to March 19th, had you ever been afraid of Carly?
No,
Are you afraid of Carly today?
no.
Prior to March 19th, had Ashley ever been afraid of Carly? Based on your observations and personal knowledge, had Ashley ever appeared to be afraid of Carly?
Objection, Your Honor, again calls for speculation.
Your Honor, he can say what he observed.
Y'all argue in front of the jury. Y'all approach. All right, the objection is going to be overruled. You can answer the question based on your observation and personal knowledge. Did Ashley appear to be afraid of Carly?
No, not at all.
And you testified on direct that you had retained your own attorney after the investigation of this matter got started. And you said that that was because you had been concerned or felt worried that you were going to be charged with a crime?
Yes, the cops had insinuated the tampering with evidence. They held my license for several days, wouldn't bring it back. I kind of think it now that they were maybe trying to keep me around.
That's sustained. You can testify to what you observe, but you can't testify to what you think other people would do. Okay?
Okay. And then I went and got a lawyer from there.
And why would you have tried to hide evidence that you were telling law enforcement about?
I have no idea. I was trying to find anything I could that might help out and figure out what or why.
Was law enforcement aware that there was a garage camera on March 19th?
I don't believe so. They were all around out there apparently looking at stuff. I don't know, 5 or 6 of them, and they never saw the camera or never bothered to mess with it, more than likely.
Had any members of law enforcement asked you about any cameras?
No, not that I recall.
And you spoke on direct examination about them turning the house back over to you. About how long did law enforcement have your house under investigation on March 19th?
I had been down to the ER and back a couple hours, 2.5 hours roughly, maybe, because it had gotten dark by the time I got back there.
And how many times after March 19th did law enforcement issue search warrants to come back out?
2 more times.
Okay. And during those 2 other times, now making 3 times that law enforcement investigated your house, did anyone find the camera in the fridge?
No, they did not.
And they didn't ask about any cameras in the garage?
No.
No. So you were very forthcoming with this evidence?
Yes.
And you also had your attorney file a motion to rescind the no contact order between you and Carly, correct?
Yes.
Had you asked that that be done beforehand?
Yes, I had tried to get my first attorney to get some of that in motion, and I don't know what happened there. It kind of fell through.
And has anyone else made you feel intimidated during the course of this investigation?
I was told by the DA's office that I couldn't contact anyone else, like y'all that were working with her about anything, couldn't speak with anyone else. And then
You were told you.
Sure.
Okay, so I sensed when the state was cross-examining him that there was some hostility there because he was kind of dogging him, being like, you know, you didn't even look everywhere. I had to have you come back a third time. So I sensed it. Now it's even worse. He wanted to see it's a stepdaughter, but he's saying he considered her his daughter. He wanted to see her a lot earlier. He wanted the no contact to be taken off, and they didn't do it. And so now he is in daily, almost daily, if something happens in work, contact with Carly. I seriously think this is a situation where the medications did
It's
something,
understandable that you would
played
be
a role.
a little guarded,
Yes.
and that this has been a long, ongoing investigation, and it's hard to talk about this stuff emotionally.
Yes, at times, worse than others.
And that you have been interviewed about this previously.
Yes.
So you're having to go back over the same stuff repeatedly.
Yes.
And it's hard to testify. It's nerve-wracking.
It is.
And this is being televised and broadcast, and there's been a lot of scrutiny, so it's understandable that you would be guarded and nervous while testifying.
Correct.
Thank you for court's indulgence.
Redirect examination.
Heath, how many phones did you know of that Carly had?
I just knew of the one that we had gotten for her.
And so if law enforcement had 2 phones they recovered belonging to Carly from the scene, that would in fact be more phones than you knew about, right?
Yes.
Do you think that if someone shoots at me unprovoked, that that's a violent offense?
I guess so. really depends on the circumstances.
Again, unprovoked. I'm walking into this courtroom, and out of nowhere, this gentleman closest to the door. As soon as I open it, pulls out a gun and fires it at me. Is that a violent offense?
It could be. Depends on the circumstances.
You said that Carly, you never saw her get mad or yell?
I have never seen Carly just angry or anything.
Never.
No, ma'am. She's always been just a happy little girl.
Was she a happy little girl when we just heard the video when she was firing a gun at you?
Like I said, I've never seen anybody like that, even in movies. She was not herself, and like I said, I do not believe she even recognized me. She was terrified.
And Heath, I believe on direct, when I asked you about medications, you actually didn't handle Carly's prescriptions or medications, right?
No, Ashley was making sure she was taking them.
I want to talk to you, Mr. Smiley. You said that law enforcement came over a couple times and they didn't find these cameras. Did Miss Todd and Mr. Camp come over to your house at some point?
Yes, they did.
And when was that?
I think it was after the second police search.
And at any point, did they also conduct a search of your house?
They came through and wanted to take pictures and get the layout of the house.
Did they take anything from the house?
I think they took a couple pieces of her artwork and a couple things like that, but I'm not certain at this time.
And you don't know as to what they did with those, do you?
I do not.
Did they ever find the camera in the refrigerator?
No.
Court's indulgent.
It wasn't their responsibility to find it. I just have to break in there and say that.
May this witness be finally excused by the state.
We'd ask that be subject to recall.
Mr. Smiley, we'll ask you to stand down, but you're going to need to leave the courtroom and not discuss your testimony with anybody. You're not free to be in the courtroom just yet.
Okay.
All right. State may call its next witness.
Your Honor, this will be a lengthy witness. I'm not sure if you want us to start or if you'd rather us.
I think that he negated that witness and that he definitely went for Carly, which I'm starting to go for Carly too. So we're watching the 14-year-old who attempted to shoot him, and she did do that to her mother and unalived her after the mother was told that Carly was doing substances. Yeah. But she was placed on mental health medications 2 weeks prior to this happening. And I've said this over and over again, but you have to watch kids on mental health
Before we go any
medications.
further, I need S9 out of the DVD.
Things
back
can go wrong fast.
in the court reporter's
It sounds like they did go wrong fast. Also, her father was subjecting her to, he was forcing her to do alcohol and I think smoking with her or something. Wasn't treating her well either. And nobody knew her to ever yell, get angry. She would get frustrated, but not lose her mind. They're going to take a lunch break really soon because it's 11:30 in the courtroom. And I don't know. How many days do you think this trial is going to go? Maybe 4 days? 5 days? I've not heard.
Just so ladies and gentlemen of the jury know, I'm requiring the state to take a witness out of order. Lunch isn't here yet, but we're not stopping till lunch is ready, okay?
Till their pork
Taking a
chops
few
are
minutes to
ready.
get there.
Pork chops and applesauce. That's what's on the menu today. They're feeding them from the jail. I don't know. I don't know if it's applesauce, but they did say pork chops. And if they didn't want pork chops, they were free to bring their own meal. They would give them a refrigerator. That's what you get in the state of Mississippi for being jury pool. You get prison meals and like what? I don't even know what it is. What, 50 cents an hour? I don't know how much you get paid anymore for being a jury member. I was a jury member way back in the day when I was like 19 years old.
You don't have to speak directly in the microphone, but you need to speak so the lady on the back row can hear you, okay? You understand that you're now under oath and your answers to be sworn answers under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, you may proceed.
Good morning, Cliff. Please introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Yes, I'm Cliff Dunlap, Rankin County.
Where within Rankin County do you work, Cliff?
In the Rankin County Coroner's Office.
Okay. And what specifically is your title at the coroner's office?
Chief Deputy Coroner.
How long have you worked there at the coroner's office, Cliff?
Been there about 12 and a half years.
Okay. What year did you start?
2011.
And as the chief deputy coroner, what are some of your job duties and responsibilities there at the coroner's office?
So essentially, we are death investigators. We respond to any number of deaths that fall under our jurisdiction.
Prior to working at the coroner's office, did you work anywhere else?
Yes, I've been in the death care industry since 2006 as a licensed mortician.
And what kind of training did you go through to become a licensed mortician?
So for the mortician, we have an associate's degree in applied sciences, specifically for mortuary science.
And before coming to the coroner's office in 2011, between 2006 and 2011, where else did you work during those times?
I started out working at Ottenly Funeral Home and then subsequently at mortuary services after that.
Okay. And just kind of, not to get graphic or anything like that, but on a day-to-day basis, what did your job responsibilities include?
So we would respond to scenes of death, hospitals, residents. We would take decedents into our care and then provide the services that the family wanted depending on their desires.
And so once you came to the coroner's office in 2011, what kind of training or education did you have to go through?
So we go through a 40-hour initial training that covers the various degrees and the topics that we may encounter on a day-to-day basis, death investigation, family notifications, and then we do continuing education on a yearly basis.
And how much continuing education is required of someone in the coroner's office?
So we're on 24 hours in a calendar year.
And just in general, what kind of topics do you typically, what kind of classes do you take as part of your continuing education?
It could be any manner of things that kind of fall under the jurisdiction of death investigation, scene recovery, family discussions, just all manners that fall under that jurisdiction.
As part of your training and education, do you sometimes attend and observe autopsies at the state crime lab?
Yes, we do.
How many would you say that you've attended or observed since working at the coroner's office?
In my time total, I would say roughly 10 to 15.
And speaking of the state medical examiner's office, tell the ladies and gentlemen how the coroner's office works with the state medical examiner's office, or if y'all do work with the state medical examiner's office.
We do. So under the state medical examiner's office, there are 83 coroners, one for each county and one additional for the Choctaw Reservation. We're basically the eyes and the ears of the medical examiner's office because they're not able to, of course, go out to each individual death per county. So we're kind of their representatives on a day-to-day basis, and we report to them findings.
Since starting at the coroner's office in 2011, approximately how many calls would you say you've been on, Cliff?
Estimated, I would say at least into the thousands, based off of my yearly calls that we work.
And again, just kind of generally speaking, why would the coroner's office be called to a scene?
So again, for death investigation, usually anything that falls under our jurisdiction, natural deaths and unnatural deaths.
And whenever you say unnatural deaths, what do you mean by that?
Any death that is not attributable to a disease, natural disease process, that can range from suicides, homicides, accidental deaths.
And so just again, speaking generally, not about this case in particular, whenever you show up to a scene or respond to a call, kind of walk us through what your procedure is.
So normally we would determine whether or not this was a natural death or not. You know, like I said, we cover a lot of different types of cases. Of course, we want to make sure that the scene itself is preserved so that we have a very accurate description of how the death occurred. Then we would talk to any law enforcement agencies and proceed accordingly.
And now kind of turning to March 19th of this year, 2024, were you employed at the coroner's office at that time?
Yes.
As a chief deputy coroner? Okay. Do you remember receiving a call out to 214 Ashton Way?
I do.
Okay. And just by way of brief description, tell us where that's located.
It's in the Avalon subdivision, I believe, off Grants Ferry Road.
Okay. Old Fannin.
Old Fannin.
Yeah. And did you respond to that address?
I did.
Okay. And again, walk us through from the time that you got the call out to when you got on scene, what you did.
Okay. So when we arrived on scene, we were informed that this death was attributed to a gunshot wound. So that let us know that when we arrived on scene to meet with investigators and law enforcement, just to make sure that the scene was secure and safe for us to enter into. Once that was established, we made entry into the house. Walking into the living room, we went to the left. There were some bedrooms that were located off the living room. That time we found Miss Smiley. She was laying on her back in a supine position, and it appears as though she had suffered gunshot wounds.
Okay. Did you conduct an initial investigation of your own to determine anything at that time?
Yes, we wanted to make sure again that scene preservation was of the utmost importance. So we talked to law enforcement, made sure that, you know, again, it was okay for us to enter into the scene. And that's when we noticed the room that she was in and kind of the surrounding environment.
Did you look at Miss Smiley? Did you observe anything about her body?
Yes. Upon initial inspection, we did see that she did have 2 gunshot wounds at the time. You know, we always want to make sure that we present the medical examiner with the most accurate visual possible. So, you know, we kind of document what we're looking at, and that's what we initially found were the 2 gunshot wounds.
Okay. So once you did your initial investigation, then what did you do after that?
So at that time, we placed Miss Smiley into a white sheet that's used to collect any artifact that may be displaced during the transportation process. And then we recovered her from the scene until we took her to the medical examiner's office.
And then did you, as part of your investigation, conduct any further investigation into Miss Smiley's case?
At that time, we were waiting on law enforcement and their reports to come in, and then the medical examiner's office would perform the autopsy.
Okay. And after the medical examiner's office performed the autopsy, did you learn anything else about how many gunshot wounds Miss Smiley had received?
Yes.
I'm going over comments left on yesterday's live, And there's an interesting one that was left regarding they're sick of people cutting breaks for the girls who commit crimes and not the teenage boys. But I have to say, I don't believe a 14, 15 teenager boy should be in prison for life either. So throwing people away for life isn't the answer because we can't afford it. Our society is going down. We can't afford it monetarily, and we can't afford it anymore spiritually or socially. So, but that's just my opinion. I'm always open to hearing other people's opinions, and yeah. Circumstances can be different too in crimes, you know. Got to always look at circumstances. So I guess when we go on lunch, I'm gonna go on lunch, take the little dog outside, and start a new live for the afternoon
S10 for all purposes and admitted for all purposes by way of stipulation of the parties. Hold on. Give him the report. Give him the report. No. Yes, sir. You can approach.
I just was going to give him this document. Thank you, Your Honor.
That's all right.
Mr. Dunlap, you were just handed a document there. Do you recognize that document?
I do.
And what is that?
This is our case report that we fill out on every death that we work.
Okay. And it appears as though it's 3 pages. Is that what you have?
Correct.
Okay. If you turn to the last page there's a what says investigator narrative. Do you see that?
I do.
Did you write that?
I did.
Okay. And when would you have written that?
That would have been the night of the incident.
Okay. And if you, in this case, were you able to make a determination as to cause and manner of death?
Yes.
Okay.
Once the medical examiner's office ruled, yes.
Okay. If you look on page 2 or anywhere in this report, is that reflected in this report?
Yes.
Okay. And what were you able to determine as the cause of death?
Cause of death was 3 gunshot wounds to the head.
And what about the manner of death?
Manner of death was homicide.
Court's indulgence.
Cross-examination. Mr. Camp, you need the exhibit for cross?
Yes, Your Honor.
You would please give it to the bailiff, and the bailiff will give it to Mr. Camp.
I have a copy, Your Honor.
You do have to, okay, just want to make sure. I knew I took your only copy. I apologize.
Okay, Cliff, and I'm just wanting to make sure I understand everything. This is what you call your case report, is what you have in front of you. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, is that the only documents that is generated by your office?
As far as our investigative report, it is. We do initiate the death certificate, of course, for the funeral home at the appropriate time.
Okay, and to, I guess, initiate the death report and this case report, you look at other documents is what I'm understanding. Is that correct?
As far as...
Well, you said you had talked to the medical examiner's office.
Right. That was once the autopsy report was completed and they initiated the cause and manner of death.
Okay, once they do okay, so you're getting information from the autopsy.
Correct.
Okay, and so that's actually that's telling you what the manner of death is, or manner of death is. Correct. Okay, it's not anything you do.
Correct.
Okay, so you're just getting, it's sort of secondhand information that you get from them, and then you put on a piece of paper, and then you turn it in.
Once they rule on the cause of death, yes, sir.
Okay. In here, I was looking on the last page because you said there were, and I guess this would be a case in point. On the last page, it has your investigator narrative, and that would be your narrative.
Correct.
Okay. And it talks about 2 gunshots. Okay. But then you got more information, I guess, after you did your narrative.
Right. Correct.
Okay. And you didn't go back and edit it or change, or when I say change it, you didn't make a notation that upon getting the autopsy information back, there's actually 3 gunshots or anything like that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Would you normally make, because it looks like on the first page, did you say, or at some point you do say there's 3 gunshots. Is that correct?
In the case or the cause of death, once it was ruled that it was changed to that.
Okay. But you didn't change the narrative.
Correct.
And you didn't, in your narrative, you didn't say anything about once you get the information, you're now, compiling the report and this is what we're doing. Is that correct?
Right. We have a separate report from the medical examiner's office.
And so is this one, well, I guess you wouldn't do this case report, or you wouldn't finish it until you got the autopsy, though.
Correct.
Okay. No further questions, John.
Redirect.
Cliff, do you know whenever you said you sat through some autopsies, is that correct?
Correct.
Whenever the medical examiner gets someone into the crime lab, do they clean that person up?
What they do initially is they will do x-rays before anything is done to the decedent.
Do they clean the person up or in any manner?
During the course of the autopsy, they do.
Okay. Is the based off what you know personally, is the medical examiner's office, can they then do their investigation into the decedent at that time as well?
Yes.
Okay. And you said earlier that the coroner's office is the eyes and the ears in Rankin County. Is that correct?
Correct.
And again, just to be clear, as reflected in your report that's in evidence, what were you able to determine was the cause and manner of death?
The gunshot wounds.
Okay. And what?
Yes.
Cliff, through the laws of the state, are you familiar with the laws of the state of Mississippi as they affect the coroner's office?
Yes.
Okay. And does your office make a determination as to cause and manner of death through your normal job duties and responsibilities?
In cases that we rule on, yes.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
May this witness be finally excused by the state?
Yes, sir.
By the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you're free to step down. Y'all approach.
I'm thinking they're probably going to go on lunch soon. Or did he just say that?
We'll give y'all over to the bailiff. He's going to take y'all on back. Lunch should be there in just a few minutes, okay? Everyone remain seated while the jury exits.
They're going to go get themselves some pork chops. That's what's on the menu. I'll stop saying it. I wonder if he'll tell them what's on the menu for tomorrow. Probably not. Why would he? But why would he have done it yesterday? So he might. Her stepdad was on the stand. And as far as I'm concerned, that he was on, the state called him, but that witness went to Carly because
We're outside the presence of the jury. As soon as the jury gets lunch, we'll be in recess till 12:30. But as soon as they're done, we'll get started back. Anything further from the state before we recess? No, sir. From the defense.
yeah, they're serving them lunch from the prison.
Go ahead and come to the podium.
They're serving them from what they're having at the prison, which is pork chops. Or they can bring their own lunch.
There was a mental evaluation that was done by Dr. Pickett, and that we had made a request to get the recording, and we had sent both an email to the court. And we filed a motion because we weren't sure exactly what we need to do to ask for it. Dr. Pickett had sent us a response when we had requested his recording. He said that he'd be happy to give it to us, but we have to file a subpoena or something to that effect. And that's why we filed the motion.
Do you have an order for me to sign or a subpoena or anything?
Yes, Your Honor, I can get that. That's why if the court says it's okay, we will get you an order.
Yeah, I mean, I'll hear from the state in response, but short orders, yes, but I'm not typing the order.
Yes, we'll take care of that. No problem, Your Honor.
Does the state have a response for the record?
Your Honor, the motion doesn't actually state any reasoning for wanting the recordings other than the fact that in the evaluation report, Dr. Pickett made numerous allegations concerning one of the defendant's attorneys. It doesn't appear that they want these recordings for anything to do with the defendant's mental state at the time, but rather about something to do with an attorney. So we don't really know what the purpose of those would be. So of course we can't state whether we would agree or not agree to the production, but also should be noted that their expert did not provide us, nor did he have any recordings of his evaluations.
Anything further? Any reply?
Your Honor, I don't believe there was a recording by Dr. Just for clarification, there were two other individuals who had done reports. Neither one of those individuals did recordings on this matter. The issue was in his report, it references interactions between the defendant, the attorney, and part of Dr. Pickett's evaluation was based upon those interactions, and it specifically says it in his report. And they know what we are referring to, so that's what the basis of it was, Your Honor.
The court will grant any order or subpoena that Dr. Pickett believes that he requires for you to turn it over. However, as I said, I don't type anybody's orders, so I don't have an order in front of me. As soon as I get the order, I'll be happy to sign it. I'll ask the state to go ahead and let Dr. Pickett know that I have said I'm going to order him to turn it over. So I'd ask that he turn it over post haste, but I can understand the doctor wanting some document from the court saying he has to turn it over too. But motion granted, give me an order, give me a subpoena. All right? Yes, over the objection of the state.
And we will notify Dr. Pickett. When I spoke with him about whether or not he could produce that, he did have concerns about being able to email such a large file. So that if the defense could help provide him with some way for them to actually transfer that file. Otherwise, it would not be until if and when he's
brought here into town for hearing testimony.
I believe the Dropbox would allow.
Okay, well, Dr. Pickett's not gonna set up the Dropbox. This is what I'm gonna do. I'll sign the order saying he's to turn it over. But logistics are y'all's end, okay? The court is not gonna get involved with typing the state's orders. I don't type the defendant's orders, and I don't get involved with the state or the defendant, how y'all want it produced. That's y'all's problem. So, granted, give me an order. I'm asking the state to let Dr. Pickett know that I'm granting the order. How he produces it, it's none of my concern. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Best of luck to both sides. We'll be in recess at 12:30.
Want to see what she's wearing today. Is that a dress? See, they've got her in these very businessy looking outfits. But I guess it's kind of going in with the preppy schoolgirl look, you know, like, yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm very fascinated by court. I'm just very fascinated. Ashley is in chat, and she was telling me that, telling us that her mother used to take prisoners back and forth to from court to the jail, and crazy stories. And yeah, looking older than she really is, but looking very, I don't know, innocent, but older. I don't know. It's very interesting. Some were scary. One of the men got loose, and I remember my mom packed up my sister and I and left, and he called the house. That would have been scary. Very scary. I just remember the funny story. Well, I mean, we thought they were funny as kids. Stories that my my stepdad was a police officer, and I remember the one that he told where the guy was in the bathtub drinking, and he dropped the glass, and the glass shattered and lopped off his member. And we were just fascinated with that story. Like, and we were like, and he was he lived, and we were just like very fascinated. And he was an older man, and so I don't know, this probably happened back in the 60s, so, or maybe even 50s. So I don't think they could sew things back on back then. So we were just very fascinated by it all. But the one where Ashley said they were cold and they burned the confiscated devil's lettuce, thinking it was garbage. That's funny. Yeah, she looks young and innocent. Somebody did leave a comment on yesterday's live. Let me show you. Let me read it for you, and you guys can tell me what you think. And Swiss Neva says, I am sick of hearing people say poor girl must have had a mental problem and should not be tried as an adult. What about the teenage boys who unalive people? They were tried as adults. I'm not really sure which teenage boys she's talking about, or they're talking about, but I'm assuming it's the one that the school shooting ones. Not entirely sure. As they should have been. Again, parents have a loaded gun in the house. Girls can be psycho unalivers as well as boys. She is guilty. But I am saying I don't think any teenager should be put in prison for life. So, well, any underage. And I don't even know, like, yeah, any underage teenager should not be put to prison for life. Period. Boy, girl. Boy, girl. Girl, boy. What are your feelings on this? And this is just my opinion, you guys. We can all have different opinions here and still get along. You're going to learn that fast here, and I'm sure if you've been here, you know that. So I am very curious. I like to hear other people's what they have to say about these things, but I am going to go really quick and take my own lunch because I need to let the little dog outside, and I will come back for the afternoon. I'm thinking, I don't know how many days this trial is going to go. It doesn't seem like it's going to go like forever. Like I'm thinking 3 days, 4 days. I don't know. Like, do you think it'll be done by the end of this week? Probably, right? I don't think the jury's going to go away for long. And unless we find something shocking, I don't, well, but you know what? I can't predict juries because juries are so unpredictable. But I don't think that this girl is going to get 40 years in prison. So, I mean, I think she's rolling the dice, and I would roll the dice too if I was 14 years old and was offered 40 years. So that was the plea deal. And I think the state could have offered 30 and she probably would have taken it, maybe. Yeah, they are moving fast. So, because they're on the corner, they've had like 2 juveniles come up. They had the stepdad, and now they're on the corner. So, okay, guys, I'm gonna go. I will see you in just a little bit. Okay. If nobody's told you this today, this is just in case you're not coming back. I'm gonna tell you this. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Actually, I'll just see you in a little bit. Hi, guys. Welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy.
Carefully strumming this old guitar, words rolling out into the fire. Never ask why my heart burned blue. Here in the haze where you inspire me. Here in the darkness I hear my cue. Time to find some solitude. Here where my soul bleeds openly, deep in the heart of sin and you. Here in the blue, I'm falling.